What's up, folks? Is it truthful to say it's been a shit week for wrestling? Or would that be considered lying? That's a question I want to ask you. Is it considered the truth to say that this week has been shit for professional wrestling? Because let me tell you the truth. No one, and I mean no one, has delivered this week. If you're a hardcore WWE fan, I don't want to hear it. If you're a hardcore AEW fan, I don't want to hear it. If you're a blind sheep, go and get sheared. This has been a terrible week for wrestling. So welcome to that reality. It's 2 steps forward and 100 million steps back. I'm not kidding. And I got Matthew beside me, but what's happening? I'm saying this flat. There's not much good from this week so far from wrestling. There's been some good stuff, there's been a lot of shit, and I'm saying this now. See if you're on Twitter, can you stop spoiling Grand Slam? Because I didn't even want to get involved in that until tonight to watch it, and I've already seen 100 million morons ruin it. Air Gold has ruined Grand Slam for me. He's blocked on my socials, and the fucker spoiled everything. No potential spoiler things in his tweets, just clips of every single match. And I can't escape it because people are retweeting onto my feed. And I'm like, who the fuck are you? You're just a shill that no one likes, and you've actually ruined my enjoyment of pro wrestling. How did Ergo got that in the first place? Is he from Australia, or did he just waste money because he's a fucking clown?
Airgold's from Canada.
Oh, see, I thought he was from Moronville, but if he's from Canada, then that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, he lives up in Canada, and he's compromised too. I mean,
he's hugely compromised. What's up, man? But Scott Steiner is the coolest account on our community. He's just fun. He is fun. And before anyone gets offended, I am not prioritizing Scott over you. He's just mega cool.
I feel personally attacked. I'm just going to let you know that. I feel personally attacked. Now, do you want me to cook, or do you want me to just kind of go along with this?
You can sue me for legislation later. I'm only kidding. It's not just a general hate, Catherine. It's just I think this week could have been a whole lot better and I'm going to come into my points. Reason why, because SmackDown did exactly what Raw did wrong, only amplified. TNA did some good things, but there's a lot of shit from Thursday. Ring of Honor was awful, except for 2 matches. Like, Dynamite was lucky. Dynamite nearly fucked up. Luckily it didn't, but last week, if you look at it as a whole, last week was great. This week was, let's test my patience. You know what I mean? Like, that's what this week seemed like. This week was like, last week was great.
I mean, let's look at what it is. If we're going to apologize, if we're ever going to apologize for a week in wrestling, you've got 2 major events going on today. And
absolutely, yeah.
And now I gotta say, I haven't started watching TNA yet. I refuse to watch it until they put all of this stuff out for the partnership, because I don't want to get invested in a company. And Reece, you're not going to want to hear this. You're probably going to frown up on me here. But when WWE acquires TNA for spare parts, I want to know when it's coming. I don't want to get invested in something just to lose it to the big guys. So if they can comfortably prove that when they signed on the dotted line for this partnership, there wasn't an acquisition built into that contract. If they'll put the contract out there, I tell you what, Reece, we'll do it like this. If TNA will put the contract out there in the public so that we can see with our own two eyes, because we've seen from Rev Pro, we've seen from other promotions that are like, fuck this, I'm not doing this.
I do see where you and Scott are coming from. Like Scott says they'll buy them in a year. I get
they
that.
can't. They can't do that. Yeah.
I think, and this is the reality, and I've already said it before. I said it to you 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And my exact words were, there is that partnership there in terms of the business. They have signed that agreement. Obviously, they do have, like, TKO does have a little bit inside them, like, not in that way, but they do have, like, an investment. Yes.
25% to be exact.
Yeah. But that's all from a broadcasting rights to use them on their platforms, whereas it's still Anthem's control. Like, let's be real, it's Anthem that are investing all this money. It's Anthem that've got to put them on their TV.
Right. Like, no, I get that. I'm just saying that
people use that.
I'm just saying, when I get undisputed, undeniable proof that there's not a buyout clause in that contract, and by the way, Scott, it won't happen for 3 years. Okay? Because they're legally prohibited from doing it for 3 years by the federal government. They will not be buying TNA within 3 years because they're federally prohibited from doing so. That's the only thing keeping them from doing it right now.
No, I agree. I think the only thing that will showcase this, and this is the huge thing, it's not just about money, but it's also litigation as well. And obviously, when you look at the highest, like, Anthem are not stupid. Like, they have made some idiotic moments. I'll give them that. But they're not stupid.
They're just not that smart. That's the whole thing.
But they aren't stupid in the sense of they are a sports and entertainment production company. You know what I mean? Like, so they know what they're investing themselves into, and they know their time. But their biggest TV revenue stream, even if it's for a network, it should be higher, in my opinion. But the highest rated show they have every single week is TNA. Even when TNA was in a slump, it was still their highest rated show, which is crazy. But this is where I think
that's not right. Okay.
No, it's true. It's true. Their highest rated show week to week basis is TNA.
No, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Rusty over there when he said all charges dropped for Vinny Mac.
Yeah, it's all
that's not even remotely true right now. Do not.
He's still under investigation. Yeah. The federal investigation is absolutely he's correct on that though. If he had stated that, the federal charges are dropped.
One division of the federal charges, they're like, it's not the same thing. And by the way, just to give you a general idea, not to be political or anything like that, this exact same group that just said there's nothing on Vince McMahon also said there was nothing on Donald Trump. They chose not to prosecute what the New York guy did. Literally, the federal government chose not to prosecute Donald Trump. The New York AG, for whatever the fuck reason he came up with it. But seriously, when you say they're not dropped, one federal group has decided not to do it. They've decided not to move forward. There's 3 more out there.
It's not over yet for Vince McMahon.
Yeah, it's not even remotely over. And the lawsuit that they're definitely going to lose at this rate.
No one's gonna like this, but what I'm about to say is a fundamental fact. No one's gonna like this, but these charges were dropped purely because of Donald Trump.
No, they weren't actually.
If you actually look at, I actually reckon that it is to do with Trump.
No, because he needed Linda McMahon completely severed from all this shit. So
exactly,
dropping the charges did absolutely none of that. It didn't sever her from any of the responsibilities.
It does for the president, but it doesn't do it for the the whole landscape of things. He's still
No,
in the shit. He's still in
it
the shit
doesn't.
regardless.
It doesn't do anything for him. None of that did anything for him. It makes it look worse. It
The
makes
only
it
thing
look
is,
exactly like what you just said. It gave him no benefit. He got no benefit out of that. Zero.
I think the one benefit he does get though is, and this is what I don't like about the judicial system across the world right now. I don't like the judicial system in the UK. I don't like the judicial system in the States, purely because power, influence, and wealth will always win unless you've got that smoking gun, as Americans would term it, that smoking gun.
And even if you've got that, it doesn't work. It's all about the power of might, white, and right.
And
when
Vince is all free.
yeah, might, white, and right.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And I tell my kids that all the time. It's got nothing to do with you. It's got everything to do with your wallet. But the
Yep.
reality is some
Huge.
of us poor blokes around here figure it out every once in a while too. So it can't possibly be all that, because I've worked my way around the judicial system and I'm not wealthy. And to be honest with you, I'm not white. I look it, but I'm not. I mean, I'm just
That's
not.
what they were they were hoping for this, particularly Scott. They have lost out on the big one, which I'll be coming to shortly later on.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, but anyway, to piggyback on what you were saying earlier, I don't think that intentionally. This is one of those moments where WrestleVote should have thrown a post out to say, look, your weekly television program is probably going to be a little sus this week because they got two major events going. And then you had Chris Jericho out on a fucking cruise. So we knew where Ring of Honor was coming from. And, I mean, that cruise thing, that cruise shit needs to stop. And Tony needs to put a kibosh on that because way too much shit happened.
I don't think it needs to stop. But what I think needs to happen is it needs to stop being an effect on weekly television.
Well, no, it needs to not be associated with if he wants to run a cruise, and I'm saying this directly to Chris Jericho, you stupid bastard. If you're going to run a cruise, you do not run it under the AEW banner. You do not run it under anything but your own banner. Do you know how bad this cruise looked on AEW this week?
It looked worse for Ring of Honor than anything else.
Well, I mean, not even Ring of Honor. I'm not even worried about that. But the number of participants that were out of pocket that showed up to this thing and it was widely televised. I mean, they had WWE stars there. They had the whole 9 yards. This thing was an absolute cesspool for contract tampering. I mean, and they're more than 3 miles offshore, so it's legal.
Exactly. To answer your question, Kabil, who attacked Jade? It was Naomi and Bianca. Don't believe what IWC says that it was Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez.
Well, they got that stupid video out there, and that didn't help either. I mean,
it's the exact same as NXT. It was 100% Naomi and Bianca.
I think it was 100% Jade when it's all said and done, because that storyline worked so damn well in NXT. I still think they're gonna. I'm still saying they're gonna reboot it.
They probably will. It's just not going to be as good. He's not Latino.
I
think he wishes he was Latino, but he's not.
No, I'm not Latino. I'm actually Native American. I'm a little over 50% Native American, and I'm just really, really white. I promise you, my bloodline is that. My grandfather. Well, see, this is using the word correctly, not like the way the bullshit.
I just wanted to bring up bullshit.
Yeah, but I mean, I seriously, I promise. My grandfather helped build the reservation in North Carolina. He helped build the Cherokee Reservation, and he met his wife on the reservation with permission from the chief of the tribe, who was very happy to have a house. So he married, had several kids. One of them was my dad.
Accommodation works in business, you know?
Yeah, when you're building people's houses, they're real nice enough back in that day to let you have about anything you want. So, I mean, he took advantage of that, And so, I mean, I look white. I get it. But it doesn't mean that...
You look like Casper in the day off.
Yeah, I mean, the lighting is phenomenal here. I mean, I can fix it. I can fix it with one, I can do this. and I can actually take the lighting out, and you can start to see how red I really am. See?
Proper red eye, get some steak.
Yeah.
Alexander's a huge get for AEW. Hiring Barry Blue means you're going for the most money. Absolutely, but the fundamental thing as well is he's going to just continue doing what he was doing in TNA.
That's why I think he goes there. Either that or I was with you on the MLP thing because everybody's starting to say that Speedball's heading to AEW, and I don't believe that. I
think
mean,
he will at some point, but not straight away.
it's not. And if Speedball, I know you like Speedball too. Here's my greatest recommendation: start booking Speedball to win some fucking matches. I have yet to see Speedball win one match. I watched him in 4 different promotions. He's lost and to be honest with you, when we went to WrestleCade, he was at WrestleCade. He lost there too.
I think the manner of Speedball, and this is the thing, is Speedball was having such big wins last year and coming into 2024 as well. But he also said at the start of last year as well in an interview that he wants to enjoy the sense of putting over talent that he thinks has a bigger impact in the business. He actually said that in an interview. He was asked what he enjoys more. And he said he actually likes just having good matches and putting people over more than himself.
I mean, I get that, but
he does need to win some matches, though. I do agree with you on that one.
I swear to God, last year, I watched several of his matches because you were hyping him and a whole bunch of other people are hyping him. I'm like,
his in-ring work is incredible.
He's getting booked to lose every match. I mean, I get putting over 1 or 2, but the whole damn crew, really? I mean, everybody he faced, MLP, 2 nights in a row, lost. GCW. Yeah, GCW. Yeah, GCW, 3 shows, lost all 3 of them. WrestleCade, independent show, 400 people, lost. I'm like, who the hell keeps booking him to lose? I mean, there wouldn't be 400 people in the crowd. They wouldn't have noticed. You know, I mean, seriously, when he gets down to that level, I'm like, no, you need to build your profile back up. I think you oversold this one.
She was there, yes, Kabil, if you're asking. Was Rhea at Grand Slam? Yes.
Yes, she was. Yeah.
She'll get hate online for it, but yeah, she was at Grand Slam.
She getting hate from AEW too because she's the reason they built the damn show in the first place.
She made her choice. I people are getting so offended by her choice, and I think it's actually getting out of control now.
I'm not offended by her choice.
Oh, not you. I've seen other people get offended over it.
Yeah, like, money is money, but damn, man. I mean,
she's where she wants to be.
She needs an agent. She needs an agent, a better agent than the one she's got right now, because whoever the agent is not advocating for her to be booked correctly, and it's just, I don't know. You want to start?
Most of them just handle themselves in the right way, and that's just how it is nowadays. I think the reality is that when you look at it, the fuck?
Yeah, you glitched there for a second. You're here.
Yeah, it's my monitor decided one of my monitors decided to turn off because it's an absolute dick, but it's okay. I think the reality is though is people are so offended by someone's choice and they take it so far, but then when they try and offer an alternative, they get shut down. But I'm like, well, she's doing what she wants to do. I don't particularly care. Quite frankly, Kabil, when I speak for everyone on this panel, and I speak on behalf of everybody who's watching the show tonight, no one cares about Becky Lynch.
No, not at all.
Not even her husband cares. Put it that way.
No, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about Becky Lynch. She can go away. I'm actually in fear at this point that we've got Becky Lynch 3.0 coming up with Liv Morgan.
Lyra Valkyria, who I'm going to cook.
I'm not worried about Lyra Valkyria. She didn't get her eye busted on national television and turned into a meme that's got over 1 million views on it. That worries me. That kind of shit right there worries me.
We're going to cook her ass tonight anyway, because certain booking tonight needs to be shut down straight away. But I do have a question for you.
What's that?
Before we even get into, because we're doing Ring of Honor, then Smackdown, then I'm going to do TNA at the very end. I'm going to go one to the next. Don't worry, Rusty. So do I. I felt personally offended because she went from trying to be a Ric Flair wannabe to a Rock wannabe when all she is just ginger and talentless.
Mm-hmm.
No offense to gingers. But my question is, I don't particularly watch it, so I don't really care. But what did you make of Ricky Starks on Tuesday?
Ricky Starks on Tuesday. Let me make sure I got my mind wrapped around this.
If anything, I think what they did with him was right, but it's just funny that excuses have already come out about it.
Let me make sure I can get my mind wrapped around this for a month.
Mhm.
A month.
Yes.
A full calendar month. 31 days. Free Ricky Starks. Also in the middle of all this bullshit. Oh, can you see it now? Ricky Starks versus John Cena in his last year. That's so going to cook.
I never saw that, but that's funny.
Yeah, I've seen. Trust me. Ricky Starks versus fucking Cody Rhodes. They were talking about Ricky Starks and all the great matches he could have. And that little mental midget lines up right in the middle of fucking NXT in a walk-in, and a few people knew who the fuck he was in a crowd of 123 people.
Yeah.
That was the head count for the Ricky Starks debut. And it ain't even going to be Ricky Starks. It's going to be some crazy ass fucking name that they just pulled in. So while you're dying to call him Ricky Starks, don't even call him Ricky Starks. That's how fucking phenomenal this debut was. If you were asleep, you missed it. I didn't even know it happened. Somebody pointed it out to me. And I'm like, you're kidding. They debuted him on NX fucking T?
According to certain people who shall remain nameless, but if anyone has a feeling who I'm talking about, then you can say in the chat and I'll tell you yes or no. But certain people said that the only reason he debuted from the crowd on NXT was because the WrestleMania season's already in line. So what's the point of having him on Raw or SmackDown?
Apology. The next prodigy debuted on NXT. Well, you know, we got all this WrestleMania booking done. Why do we want to put him on the main roster? Shut the fuck up. That's where he should have debuted, and he should have debuted under whatever stupid fucking name they gave him. We still don't even know that. So, no, he debuted on NXT because it was a soft launch to see if it would move numbers. And it didn't move numbers. I mean, it moved numbers in the IWC, but all you got to do is splash double E in front of them, and they fucking get a hard on for it right away. They're ready to shoot their jizz all over the damn wall as soon as you see WWE. So that's an easy thing.
It was a very big rating difference. Again, I don't particularly care about ratings. I never have, but it was an absolute mental difference this week. I was surprised, put it that way.
The thing that I found absolutely shocking is that they are debuting Jordan Grace on NXT. And
I said she would, to be fair, before any of those stupid curtain jerkers. I said it for everyone she would be on NXT. It'd be a stupid decision, but I said it would happen.
I still find that water pretty damn deep. And, you know, the water is real damn deep in NXT. You got Stephanie, you got Julia, you got Delta, whatever the fuck they're calling Zarya, I think is what they're calling her.
Zarya.
You got those three in the building, and they dropped you right in the middle of that. That is the deep water in WWE right now. They are so trying to dumb these women down, it ain't even funny. And you drop Jordan Grace right in the middle of that. I hope they don't misbook her too badly, but I don't see anything positive coming out of that one.
For me, this is where it makes no sense, right? So she signs with WWE because that's what she said for a long time. That was her destination. I don't think any person in reality can knock someone for their area of choice. Just like in my profession that I want to go and do at some point, I want to go to like the next best thing. Or Jamie wants to step up from being a Liverpool fan to a real football fan. I'm only kidding, buddy. I'm only kidding. He's in the chat. I always like Jamie. But if you're going from TNA to WWE, but you're going to NXT, when you don't need to learn the way of working, because TNA actually uses a style that incorporates Japanese, WWE, and AEW all in one. TNA is the blend of all three. They've always done that. TNA were actually ahead of the curve. Let's be real. TNA knew what works and what doesn't work, but people don't understand that. So why would you want to leave TNA to go to WWE when you're going to get put on NXT, when you're going straight back into the partnership, when you could have went, actually, I'll stay with TNA and I'll still work with NXT talent in that way, get NXT programs, which will then lead me to programs between TNA and main roster talent.
And here's the kicker. And
that doesn't make any sense to me.
No, here's the kicker to it. She took a pay cut to do this.
Behave you.
No, I'm just saying she took a pay cut to do this. You know, that's the damnable situation. She took a pay cut. She said it out loud. She took less money to go to WWE. TNA offered her more, and she didn't stay. She said that in an interview, just dead ass. Yeah, they offered me more money, but I wanted to go to WWE. Now you're landing in NXT, and it would have been better if she had debuted on Raw with Rhea or Smackdown with Tiffany.
Much better options. Much better in that sense.
Well, I'm just saying they're the champions right now. If she'd have debuted on either Raw or SmackDown and been immediately in the title hunt, because everybody knows who she is, you got to be living under a rock not to know who she is.
Yeah.
So, and that doesn't, I mean, TNA doesn't get the views. I get it, but that still doesn't mean that there's talent in there that people don't know. I knew who Josh Alexander was. TNA doesn't get the views. I knew who Joe Hendry was before he went to NXT. TNA doesn't get the views. I knew who Jordan Grace was, but TNA doesn't get the views. You know?
They may not get the views that people would actually like them to get, but they still get views.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to say. People know who they are. Whether the show gets views or not is irrelevant. If you know who a talent is, it doesn't matter if the show gets views or doesn't get views. They're working something. They could be working underground for all you know. You know?
It's the delusional take that I get from people that annoy me when they say, oh, they don't know who XYZ is, but then they pop for what they do. And I'm like, so why are you lying? You know what I mean? Like, either you absolutely hate a company that much, or you genuinely lie in that way, and that's the reality of it. And this is true, and here's why: because all the male talent on NXT suck. They all suck.
There is not one.
Except two.
Yeah, no, there's not one competent wrestler in all of NXT that's male. Not one.
I think there's only two. I genuinely think there's
I'm willing to entertain a suggestion, but I'll cut it to shreds.
Deal. I'll give you two right now that are the only worthy male talent watching NXT.
Okay.
Number one is Obafemi, 100%. And the second one is Wesley, when he's used properly.
Wesley would have been good before the injury, but right now they've reduced him to a catchphrase. Obafemi can't even get his own national origin right, and he can't work a promo.
What is his national origin, though?
Who knows? Who knows? It switches depending on the show, and it's confusing. I can tell you that right now. He's got to do better on character work. He's not that guy. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And I'm not really cutting him to shreds.
This is true. This is true.
It's like I'm not cutting him totally to shreds, but he's not that guy. And Wes Lee hasn't been that guy since surgery. And you can come up with 5 different things. Turning him heel is a good start. But the problem with WWE is they over manufacture catchphrases and moves, and they don't actually put effort into a bigger product. Like, what is your entire body of work? I don't give a fuck about Yeet. I don't give a fuck about He Bouncy. What are you doing in the ring?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And
I get where you're coming from. I completely get where you're coming from. That's why I'm not disputing your point. But I'm saying if you're looking at the two in general, the only two, in my opinion, that are actually worth any sense of attention
Mhm.
I would have said 3, but they've ruined Ethan Page for me already, and I'm a big fan of Ethan Page. He's ruined
Mhm.
because the minute he lost the title, they've done nothing with him ever since, which is really fucking annoying because he's better than everybody that you can think of on that roster. They are. I agree with Jamie and I agree with everyone else when they say about NXT. NXT is being carried by women that includes Cora Jade, which
Right.
is
Well,
embarrassing. But
Cora
she is
Jade's
part
fine.
of it. She's
Yeah.
part of it. But it's a sense of they have given up. What NXT has been given up on.
Not necessarily given up on, except when they don't do well in ratings. Now, if they don't do well in ratings, they're the developmental show. If they hit 800,000, they're the C show. But
Yeah,
if they don't hit 800,000, well, they're just developmental. What do you expect? I mean,
but
this
we
is week
already
to
know.
week.
We
Yeah.
already know that C show narrative has been debunked because Vince Russo's already shut them down when he said that the new show that's coming is going to, in his words, beat AEW Dynamite in 6 months. Which for me is unfair pressure on these new talents that know nothing about the business.
What, the Evolve on Tubi?
Yeah, he said that, comfortably with chest last week.
Yeah, 10,000 WWE fans just discovered Tubi. Give me a fucking break.
I have got no idea what that is.
Tubi is something we've had over here for the better part of a decade, and that's how a lot of us keep attached to TNA because they run TNA. They're about 6 months behind on their programming, but they run TNA blocks on Tubi. So if you don't know Tubi, the only reason I know Tubi is because it has TNA. It has a TNA channel on Tubi that plays nothing but TNA. So if you didn't know about that, you need to know about that because that's your jam, that's your shit.
But I don't watch on Tubi because I watch on the TNA. I watch on the TNA Plus app on a Fire Stick.
Right, but now I will say
You know what I mean?
Tubi's got.
Because I've never heard of
got,
it. I've never
yeah.
heard of Tubi, but that sounds cool.
Yeah, but that's the only reason I heard of Tubi. It was because it had TNA on it. That's how I kept connected to TNA for years. Is just fire up Tubi, watch some TNA shit. They're usually about 6 months to a year behind current programming.
I wonder why.
But I mean, yeah, I get that part of it.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, they've got a literal channel devoted just to TNA.
I might need to check this out just for. I might need to check this out just for the entertainment.
Yeah, I mean,
but
they even got the pay-per-views. Yeah,
I'll need to check this out. I've never heard of it ever. Like I watch TNA in different varieties, like different ways, but I've never heard of of Tubi. But that actually sounds really cool.
Yeah,
But
I mean, they've literally I watched what was it? There was a pay-per-view they had on there not even 3 weeks ago from 2007, something like that. They showed the whole pay-per-view. And I was like, shit, I didn't even know that. Well, back then you actually had to spend $60 on the pay-per-view in America. So
and it was great pay-per-views, let's be real.
Yeah, nobody spent $60 on a TNA show. I'm just be honest with you. It didn't matter what they put out there. I mean, I spent
early years, no. Slightly later years, meh. 2006, 2009, they were.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. I didn't realize what good work AJ Styles was putting out because all I ever saw was his television shows on TNN when they were coming on live. We used to have TNA live on regular cable here.
Oh yeah, long time ago.
Yeah, and I watched it then, but we didn't sign up for the pay-per-views because I mean TNA was okay, but it wasn't WWF at the time. See, I was a tribalist.
Even though it went on for about 3.5, 4 years, it was so much better on every landscape possible.
Yeah, now we know what we were missing, but back then when you're like in your teens and it's like, or in your 20s and it's like, well, WWF is better.
For me, it was the best years of my life as a wrestling fan. If I'm being honest, it was my best years.
But see, I remember when ECW broke out on network television, and I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I like it.
I think that's what you get from promotions is that gripping factor, and if they grip you at the start, then they will have you locked in. Yeah, and I think that's the reality that we're getting. But fun times. Yep, the good old days of 2002 to early 2004.
Mm-hmm. But I mean,
Still
you know,
watch.
hey,
I still watch them back. You can watch all these on the TNA Plus app. All the original weekly pay-per-views
yeah,
before it started on Spike as a 1 hour show. It was a 1 hour. Like, this is what I liked about them. They were a 1 hour TV show for 2 years before they
that
went. Let's
made
add an extra 2 hour show, and this is why Scott Hall rates them more than any other wrestling company before he died, because they stuck to the right format. 1 hour is enough.
Mhm. Yeah, you don't need a lot. I mean, Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling used to be. Now this is in the '70s, so I'm telling
At
my
least
age.
four,
Here, I don't
at
give a
least 49, at least 49 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, like, Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling was NWA was like an
Oh yeah,
hour, and then they had the TBS show cutting on later on at night for 2
yeah.
hours.
They started one was early hours and then the other was late afternoon, wasn't it? As it was
Yeah,
back then.
yeah,
Yeah, it
that's
was
how it
great
was.
stuff. Like, yeah, you can still watch all them back as well.
Yeah.
Like back like them on YouTube. And before they decide to cancel the whole damn thing, the network, you can actually watch simultaneous the 1 hour and then you can watch the 2 hours as one big video. So you can
Yeah.
see here's the morning edition and here's the afternoon.
Right.
So you've got like, I don't know, some random shithole in North Carolina. The small shit, North Carolina, not the good shit. And then you've got, well, here's the rest of Greensboro 2 hours later, and you're like, I'm
And you know,
cooking.
it's like, and it's
You know
like
what I
when
mean?
you're sitting there with Scotland, and then all of a sudden Ireland shows up, and you're like, yeah,
Aye, 100%.
you
Or
got
here's
quips, I got them too.
absolutely, or here's England for 60 minutes, and we're like, fuck that. Here's Scotland for 2 hours. Oh yes,
No, we start off with Scotland for 1 hour, and then we give you England for 2. That would be fantastic.
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Nah, I'm just giving you a hard time. You know,
I know. That's what I like. I like the jabs.
but
Keep
I
them
am.
coming.
I
I
do
think
have
that's
the pots and
realistic.
pans.
I think 90 minutes to an hour, 90 minutes to 2 hours is enough.
Yeah, but I do
Question,
have the
guys.
pots and pans out. I'm getting ready to cook. So go ahead.
Absolutely. Before we even start doing before we even start doing these reviews, questions are great. So keep them coming, guys. So this is Malachi Black and Rusev obviously going back to WWE. That is true. What brand do you think they end up on? Rusev should end up on OVW because he's shit. And Malachi Black, I think he's part of that. I think he's part of that blacked out faction that keeps appearing on NXT television. You know, the four shaded figures. I think he and Ricky Starks is one of those two. Rusev, I would put him on. I would send him to OVW. The guy's finished. I can't like he doesn't. He should be nowhere near a wrestling ring.
Checked out. Mentally, he's checked out from everything. But I'm going to go you one step further. I'm not sure Malachi Black shows up on WWE programming. I'm really not. The rest of them, I'm 100% sure because they're going to go for the paycheck. But the last interview Malachi Black gave out before all of this shit hit the fan, he said, "I might just retire." And you know what? If he's smart, then he should, because modern wrestling doesn't work for him. If it didn't work for him in WWE, it did not work for him in AEW. It did not work for him in New Japan. So obviously he needs to hit those indies where he feels again, or just quit, because it's not going to do him, and it's certainly not going to do Zelina Vega any favors if he shows up and phones shit in all the time, because they won't punish him, they'll punish her. You know, that's just basically how WWE does things. So
this is true. Like, he went into business for himself a lot, which I don't understand.
Well, as we're finding out, I mean, look what he was holding back. Look what he was holding back. Look what we got now that he's gone.
It's a shame that he was, because I think the one thing people can't deny about, whether it was in NXT or whether it's in AEW, he's got such a great mind for the business. He's such a great worker.
His psychology is off the chain. His psychology is off the chain. His moveset's off the chain.
Mm-hmm.
There is no complaint from me about Malachi Black or Aleister Black or whatever the fuck we're going to call him.
I'm just calling him Black from now on. I'm just, until we get a concrete name, he's just Black.
Yeah, so there is no complaints from me about his in-ring psychology, his ability to get the job done. My question is does he not understand modern wrestling? Because apparently he doesn't. And that's the big piece of it. He thinks, I came from this set. This is how it should work. This is what you bought. So this is how I should work.
I like that
And
he has that attitude though, in a way. Like I like that attitude because that allows other people to try and change things up a little bit. And this is what people have critiqued a long time at the business. No one has evolved for quite some time.
they've no need to.
No, I don't mean it in that way. What I mean is you always need somebody in different well, I hate the buzzword, but I'm going to use it in this context incorrectly. Similar to yourself about Bloodline. You need people throughout an era of wrestling or a particular period of wrestling where somebody will try and change the dynamic for the better. Even if it initially it looks ridiculous. So, for example, if you look at how a top babyface was booked in the 60s, in the early 70s, everyone's immediately going to say Bruno Sammartino because of how he came across. He was larger than life. But then you have to think about, well, who theoretically was going to be the game-changing heels? Who's going to change it for the better where the mentality strikes? And I'll be honest, people are going to say instantly the Iron Sheik later on, but I'm going to say I'm going to say straight away, the first to make a major difference was Larry Sabisco.
I think him too. Yeah, go ahead.
But I would say it's those two, theoretically, that changed the way how it goes. But then you look further in the 80s. I hate the man with every inch and fibre of my being, but Hulk Hogan changed the way that an international perspective comes across. I can't deny it as much as I would love to, but I can't. He changed the way a larger-than-life individual gets over, but then Randy Savage changed it from someone who can twist the knife with hard work. Ricky Steamboat changed it for the better of a good worker. Ric Flair melded both together. And it's why he's regarded as the greatest champion in the business. Stone Cold done it in the 90s. He made verbalage stand out with the working male. And I would also go as far as Bull Nakano changed it for a woman's perspective, that a woman can get over by being powerful and dominant and stand out uniquely. So, and The Rock done it himself by using colourful personality and catchphrases. Absolutely. So, yeah, but it's still colourful personality. So I think it's really important how the business changed. I think Malachi tried. Well, I'm sticking with it. I think Black tried so hard to try and change it from the sense of a legitimate way. Like, I think he tried to make it so not Brock Lesnar-esque, but he tried to make it like Brock Lesnar in New Japan when he went over thinking that the American way to legitimize it and make it heavy, hard-hitting will work elsewhere because of the Dutch perspective. A little bit more stubborn, a little bit more less colourful, but a bit more devastation. The problem is not many people understood him. And I think it got to the point where he was like, fuck this crap. If it's not going to work, then I'm not going to bother anymore. I think if it doesn't work for you, you mentally check out.
Well, no. Here's the biggest problem. The biggest problem is all of those people you mentioned struck a note. No, they struck a note. They didn't change anything immediately because I remember seeing Hulk Hogan beat the Iron Sheik. It was on regular television in my area on a 10 o'clock in the morning show for WWF. Yeah.
You can still look at that time schedule. For now, it's still a live one. Still live, it's not dead. Yeah. The TV schedule is still live, accessible to what to laugh at.
But what I'm saying though is all of these people you're talking about did one thing first. They struck a chord with the fans, and then they turned their brand in. See,
I agree. And I think Malachi did.
And we've got a scenario here. When I was growing up, we didn't have all these tribalist things. If wrestling came on television, we were fucking happy. We didn't care. I watched AWA. I watched WCCW. I watched WCW. I watched NWA. I watched TNA. I watched WWF at the time. I actually saw WWF simulcast once or
Yeah.
twice.
Worldwide Wrestling Federation, yeah.
If you could find wrestling on television, you were happy. You didn't give a damn. I watched midgets wrestle.
There was barely any tribalism when I was growing up. The only tribalism was who was the best. Like, I can definitively tell you, growing up in between me and my mates, wrestling wise, every single day, whether it be playing the games or doing on trampolines, taking the piss at each other. But every conversation we had was literally that week who had the better wrestling match that week.
Yeah,
that was it. It was like company. It was just entertainment for us in that way, and it was fun. But we never really.
He's kind of. I said all that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think the reality is, I think, like you say, about striking a chord, I believe he actually did. The problem is, I think he hit the wrong chord. I think he was hitting a G minor, but he really got stuck with a C flat.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, I think he hit the wrong one, and it never worked. And after that, he just gave up. Because when you look at it, he only did two things of importance in AEW, in my opinion. The first was kicking Arn Anderson's head off.
Yep.
And the second one was starting House of Black. In NXT, it was just beating Velveteen Nonce. That was it.
So, but I mean, he needed to get consensus. He needed to get a positive consensus from the fans, and that was never going to happen because your WWE fans are mired in rote repetition now. WWE shows, and we get to talking about SmackDown, rote repetition.
Absolutely.
That is the entire fan base now, and you try to explain this to people, and they're like, no, that's not what I do. Until Jimmy and Drew did that little yeet off right there in the middle of the crowd, and I think the crowd woke up and like, damn, they got us. Because Jimmy and Drew did the exact same fucking thing, and the crowd did exactly what they were supposed to do when the gestures were made. But it didn't teach them anything.
Exactly.
So
this is the problem. I actually think, and this is the reality, so I'm not offending the live chat here. Before anyone says anything, live chat, you're exempt from this. I think modern wrestling fans are incredibly, all across the board, incredibly stupid. And I think they've got, like, they're absolutely fickle. Unless you actually get somebody that actually understands it and enjoys what they're talking about, and you can see the correlation of the conversation. I think most wrestling fans are just incredibly dumb as fuck. And they continue to prove it when... And I had this argument with somebody the other day at my work who was laughing because we were just scrolling through social media at work on a break. And I was like, this is what I've got to talk about every single fucking week on my podcast. And he was pissing himself. So I was showing him the difference between a storyline and crowd reactions, right? So I showed him, I was like, just name a few top of your head that you loved. Instantly he said Undertaker and Kane from 98. And I was like, perfect example. I was like, that is perfect. So I showed him WrestleMania 14, like the build up to WrestleMania 14, the Inferno match at Unforgiven, the night after Unforgiven, when they done the Raw, when it was the number one contenders match for King of the Ring first, and all that. I showed them all that, and I was like, great. And I was like, now I'm going to show you what happens in 2025. I just showed them all the clown accounts on Twitter, and I'm like, Jey Uso, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and I kept going through all of them, and I included AEW wrestlers as well. And every single moment of comment, they all kept the one there was one word constantly involved in the tweets I was showing them. Can you guess what that word was?
No.
Trust me, I think you'll get this word. It's so overused now.
Aura?
And he burst out laughing because he went, these men have got no aura at all, and they don't know what the word aura means.
Right.
He's like this, and he's literally went, I'm so glad I don't watch it as much anymore. His exact words.
Well, that's when you introduce him to TNA and AEW and say,
he already watches other stuff. Anyway, he used to train with Joe Hendry when Joe Hendry trained for the Olympics. Like, he
Yeah.
was his sparring partner. So he knows, he already calls him a prick anyway. It's funny. But the absolute limitless clowns, and he went, if those guys are aura, then Undertaker and Kane's careers mean jack shit.
Yeah, they all do. At this point, they don't.
Because that's what aura is.
The average WWE fan,
Mhm.
and that translates into what I'm looking at today. The average WWE fan goes to an event to go through the motions and then go home. Whereas when we used to go to events, I was actually at the match in Greensboro that required state troopers to get wrestlers out of the building.
Long time ago. I'm assuming this is 1985-ish.
Somewhere in that range. I can go look it up exactly and get the exact date, but I was actually in Greensboro when that shit happened.
Can I guess who was involved? Because I remember, I remember looking at an article about a match that had state troopers involved. Can I guess one of the participants?
Sure.
Was one of them the Fabulous Freebirds?
No. Ric Flair had been attacked by Nikita and Ivan Koloff, and they were attacking the hell out of him.
Was that the heel turn? And
No,
they
it was
took his eye out?
No, I mean, they were having a fight with the Four Horsemen anyway. They were fighting and feuding with the Horsemen, and then Dusty Rhodes came in to help Ric Flair because nobody else would. And once they got in the cage, they beat the Russians out. Then all of a sudden, the Four Horsemen show up. They lock the cage and proceed to beat the living shit out of Dusty Rhodes, and kayfabe break his arm.
Yeah, I was going to say the reason why I mentioned the Freebirds is because there's a state trooper in Greensboro as well from the Freebirds, and it's something that in particular they did where they had to get escorted out safely by state troopers. That's why I asked if it was them. But the one about Dusty Rhodes was absolutely sick. Is that when he also got the cage? Like, I've always thought the one cage moment that should never have happened, Flair done it and someone else done it, is when they smashed the cage door off the skull. And like that for me should never have happened.
But I mean, you don't draw with wrestling now like you used to, and that's the whole thing about when that happened.
I agree.
When that happened, I mean, there was gunfire, the whole 9 yards. It was crazy. Fans were like, "I'm going to kill this."
It's already ruined, dude. It's already ruined. No, the reason why I'm saying this is because I know they did do it in '85, and then they've done it again in '98 for Kurt Hennig when he went to WCW. So late '97 and '98. They should never have repeated that cage thing during the War Games match when he smashed the cage off Ric Flair's skull. They should never have redone that.
Well, I mean, and something you kind of have to understand too. The cages at that time were gimmicked, so it's not what
it's not if they're gimmicked. It's not in the sense I'm saying it's because they're gimmicked or not, but there's an element of no one's gonna. Like, I've always believed in the sense of a cage match. A cage match is enjoyable, but a cage match should absolutely also be realistic. No one's going to slam a cage door like that over someone's skull. Ever. No one is. Let's be real. You're going to smash heads off it in that way, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to smack a cage door off your head. I'm going to smack you into the cage door. I think there's a difference of it was a good cage match, ironically enough.
Yeah,
like that War Games match was great, but I think that was unnecessary.
So, but yeah, I mean, it is. That's
fair. I think that's a fair take, Jamie. That's a fair take. And yeah, that's exactly when we got that promo. Matt's thoughts on Vince getting off because he's Trump's mate. He's already answered that one.
No, I don't think Vince is getting off of this at all, and he's not Trump's mate because Trump doesn't need him. Trump needs his ex-wife. He doesn't need Vince McMahon at all. In fact, he probably shouldn't be within 100 miles of Vince McMahon. No, but he wants his wife. He wants his wife for the education position. And
Ivanka Trump gets dumped, and Linda McMahon's the new husband of Donald Trump. Just be absolute peak Twitter.
Nah, it ain't gonna be that, nothing like that. But he needs her for the legitimacy of what she brings to the table when it comes to the education piece. And
no, I'm just saying it would be funny. I'm just saying it would be funny if that actually happened, though.
Yeah, but no, Vince is 100 miles off from being off the hook. He's just That is a statement, by the way, that his lawyer put out. That's not a statement that the federal government put out. Those are two different things around here. Your lawyer is paid to muddy the waters.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with Fernando, and this is actually an article right now because I was looking at it in WrestleZone because I want to make sure I've got all the results when we go through the shows.
yeah.
And this is actually an article right here on screen.
Let's see it. It's loading.
They were there at the confirmation.
The whole family was.
Now, she's aged badly. But it's still funny to this day that she still speaks more eloquently than anyone in that stupid family.
She was
And she's
always the brains.
It's just too bad that she's horrible inside out. Like, she is pure horrible.
You got the news coverage of it too.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get what was actually said, but you got the news coverage of it. I can smell it already.
It's horseshit, put it that way.
Yeah, if I ask you, I'm going to ask you the same question 9 times. You're going to give me the answer. It's not going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a consistent answer, but then I'm going to go around and report you're going to do this. No, I'm not, and I'm not an apologist for Linda at all. But I actually watched the conversation take place that they're talking about. And the man asked her 7 different ways, and she kept saying, let me take a look at it. She didn't say, no, you're right. We need to get this out of here and this, that, and the other. She said, let me take a look at it. Let me see how it corresponds to the law, and I'll answer your question. And that came out as Linda McMahon wants to get rid of Black history education in schools.
Does she?
That's exactly how the news is portraying it right now, that she literally...
So they're trying to portray her as like she wants to exclude all forms of Black history from education. Basically,
that's correct. Because she answered the question as, I don't know. Let me look at it. Let me see how it coincides with the law, and I'll get back to you on it. That came out as she wants to get rid of it.
Are they trying to, correct me if I'm wrong, just so I'm not being ignorant here, I'm trying to ask this very, very fairly. Are they trying to, because of who Vince is as a person, and obviously his own personal opinions has swayed to others over the years, are they trying to inadvertently make her come out as a racist?
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
racial? When I don't get that opinion from her.
Well, didn't you know Trump's a racist?
Oh, I know that. Everyone knows that.
He's not. No, he's not. I love it. You guys eat this shit up like butter.
To be fair, we don't claim him in our country anyway. We don't claim Donald Trump.
No, I'm just saying, everybody eats this shit up like butter. I mean, no, he's not. No, he's not.
He's an uber asshole, to be fair. I think the one thing
now,
Donald
asshole,
Trump is,
I'll give you. Asshole, I'll give you. Nobody.
I think the one thing he is,
yeah.
He is misogynist, 100%. No. He is. He's made a lot of misogynistic comments in the past.
Look at his cabinet. Look at his cabinet versus everybody else's cabinet. I'll give you Bill Clinton. I'll give you everybody on the map. Look at his cabinet. Look at everybody else's cabinet. Who had the most women hired under them? I'll wait.
No. I'm not insinuating that. I agree on that point. I do agree. To be fair, they're all absolutely stupid men anyway. What I'm saying is he's still made misogynistic comments in the past, but the weird thing about Donald Trump, though, is, and this is what comes up about him constantly, he isn't afraid to speak his mind.
Yeah.
He isn't afraid. He has made, just like Vince, like all of that, he has made misogynistic comments. But you're right. His cabinet has more differentiation, ratio-wise, women to men for employment in his cabinet, which I think is very important.
And minorities. I mean,
yeah,
you know,
he's still a dick, though. He'll ruin anybody if he gets the opportunity. But it's still a fact. You're right. The differentiation of numbers is there. Then again, though, the guy's a wanker. The sooner he's gone from this planet, the better.
It's okay. It's okay. We're just tired of being politically correct. If it's okay with y'all, we'd like to speak our fucking minds sometime in this future without having some kind of political correct Nazi come land on our
Mhm.
shoulder and go, "Could you have found a better way to say that?" No, motherfucker. I said exactly what was on my mind, just like you're saying. The only difference is you don't like what I'm saying. We'd like to get away from that. We used to be a world where you could speak your mind. And the worst that could happen is you might trade a couple of knucks and somebody figure out who's what, and that'd be the end of it. Now everybody's like, "Oh, I don't know if I can say that or not." Somebody's fuck everybody getting offended.
I think
You
he
know?
does have a weird thing about Mexican. I think you can agree on that. I think you cannot disagree on that. He's a weird
Well,
thing when it comes
in
to Mexicans.
in our country, we have something really, really cool. It's called stupidity. I do my shoot
That's
job.
very true. It's filled. I mean, your education system is the worst in the globe.
My shoot job is I do construction inspections. That's how I make money. You know? Okay, I will go on a job site. Not anymore now, not in the last month or so, because it's kind of crazy. It's almost transformational. I can go to a job site and there will be no one there that speaks English except for one guy, and you got to find that guy. Okay, that guy is managing a crew,
Yeah.
but he's carrying coverage for himself.
Yeah.
And if anybody in that crew gets hurt, that's his name.
Mm-hmm.
It's not who they are, it's whatever he signed up under that. Okay, he
agree.
has one person. If I go to that same job, I have to cover every single person on that job. I do not get away with that. So guess who gets the bid and who doesn't?
Please tell me that's a joke. I'm sorry, but if
What?
PWI have specifically said that Josh Alexander is not in a top 5 technical wrestler in the world, then anything they say going forward is fucking irrelevant to me.
Yeah, it is. It's
Because-
fucking stupid. But
because
enough
he
about
is-
enough
he's
about
a-
politics. Let's get to the wrestling part.
He's
Because
not
I
even.
a couple
It's not
hours.
even just Josh Alexander's not top 5 in the PWI for technical wrestlers. He's a top 5 pro wrestler in the world. Period.
Josh Alexander is a top 3 right now for me. He's in my
I
top.
mean,
three.
I say top 3. I'll come across as TNA bias, but I
No, it's
believe
not.
he is
It's-
100% one of the best in the world. 100%. I've been saying
Like
it
I
for years.
said, I've seen him work across different promotions, not just TNA. The man's got it.
How people cannot put him in a top 5 even for technical wrestling is a joke. Actually, you know what? I want this. The guy, I want you to tell me the exact 5 they've said are better than Josh Alexander.
Oh, this is
And if-
going to be funny. This is going to
I
be
s-
mostly WWE adjacent. Watch.
Because I'm saying this now in terms of a technical wrestling perspective. When you look at the top 5 in the world, the only person I honestly would say is on Josh Alexander's level is Zack Sabre Jr. Pure technical wrestling. That's it.
I'm curious. I'm curious too.
I'm
Really?
actually mortified that the PWI has said that. I am mortified.
PWI
That is-
also said you guys ought to just shut the fuck up. Vince McMahon paid somebody off and they didn't keep their contractual obligation. That's what happened. That's the same PWI, by the way.
These are exactly. These are like your top 3. People are going to say Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega is a hybrid. People are going to say AJ Styles, like I do as well. He's a hybrid. Pure technical wrestling is Zack Sabre Jr., Alexander Danielson, Tommy Billington. But he's not one of the best yet. But this is just. I'm actually going to look this up right now. PWI top 5 technical wrestlers. Jesus Christ.
They're gonna have
I
some
actually-
stupid shit in there. They're gonna have. I wouldn't be surprised if they had Jey Uso in there. Swear to God, I wouldn't be. I ain't looked.
I will absolutely kill them. I will absolutely kill them. Let's have.
I ain't looked, but I wouldn't be shocked. And my lighting system's sucking today. Let's put something up here. I can't even see me. There we go. That's better.
So there's heavyweights. Hiroki Goto is the number 1 heavyweight for them for this week, which is fair enough. Ozawa number 5. Let's see. Women. Rhea Ripley's number 2. Mariah May's number 3. Saya Kamatani's number 1. Masha Slamovich is number 5. Okay. Tag teams. Takahashi and Naito number 1. See, I knew these guys were good. Benjamin and Lashley are third. Let's have a look. AEW John Moxley is their champion, but number one's Takeshita. Okada's number 2, but Okada was number 1 last week. Takeshita was second last week. MJF, Page, and Fletcher have retained their positions. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Give me technical wrestling. Give me technical wrestling. I swear to God, I'm gonna go off my head. I generally need to see. Why did they not give me what I'm looking for? They're just doing the rankings for the best wrestlers, men, women, tag teams. It's not giving me the technical wrestlers. I wonder if it's on. I wonder if it's on here. I got a funny feeling they probably posted it on Twitter, so I'm going to check. But if that was a comment just to fuck with me, then I'm absolutely insulted.
Now I'm sitting here looking myself. Heavyweight, women, tag team, Raw, Smackdown, All Elite, Joshi.
Yeah, that's all it is there. Top 5 technical wrestlers.
I put in technical wrestlers.
That's why I did.
And it didn't give me anything, so it didn't even give me their X page. Normally it gives me their X page.
All I'm getting from the top 5, even last year's top 5 from Wrestling Observer newsletter is wrong. Their top 5 is Zack Sabre Jr.
I'll be back in 1 minute.
Some of these are so damn wrong. Like Josh Alexander last made the top 5 on the Wrestling Observer newsletter's Technical Wrestler Award. He was 5th in 2022. Daniel Garcia was 3rd. Jesus wept. Zack Sabre Jr. won it last year with Danielson, Hechicero, Will Ospreay, and Gunther. Where is it for 2025? I don't see it, but I don't see the evidence. I don't see it. I need to see it. But he is one of the top 5, 100%. It's not even a debate, it's a fact. We still need to get into reviewing shows, so we are going to be doing that once Matt returns, so don't worry, guys. And we will be starting with Cruise of Honor, as we call it. Shut your fucking mouth.
I'm back.
Lovely.
Did we find it?
Nope, can't find it. We said top 5, not top 3. Do you listen? In fact, don't answer that. Roman Reigns fans know nothing about pro wrestling anyway.
What, somebody thinks Roman Reigns is a technical wrestler on what fucking planet and what fucking universe?
No, he's just a Roman Reigns fan.
Oh, well, I mean, it's fine to be a fan, but I mean, it's like...
Not if that dork isn't. Not if that dork isn't.
I don't mind. People need to be fans of who they're fans of. I'm good with that.
I wouldn't be a fan of him. He's a fucking
Just
dog.
don't start putting that wrestler in a category that they damn sure don't belong in. I mean, that's for sure. Roman Reigns has no technical ability whatsoever. He's
He's got
5
no
moves and he's done, and that's it. And his
He's got
Superman
no
punch
ability.
ain't even that great.
He's got no ability whatsoever. He never will.
Yeah.
But I suppose we need to review Cruise of Honor.
Yeah, it sucked. Next, moving on. That's my review for it. It sucked. I mean, I watched it for Ricochet. I watched it for Commander, and I watched it for Harley Cameron. Those are the 3 matches that I watched it for. When those matches came through, that was it. I was done with it. The rest of it was shit. Doing it on the cruise was shit. The situation was shit. Jericho needs to be fired. His contract needs not be renewed in December. He's nothing but problems for the product, and this was an absolute grand stage presentation of how badly it was, And Ring of Honor is going to get a television deal. They're just nailing down the finality of it. It's going to be on True TV. That's a leak, but I mean, Ring of Honor is going to be on True TV along with their recaps for Dynamite and everything else. Ring of Honor is also going to be playing on, wait for it, USA, except it's going to be playing on it in Canada. That's where Ring of Honor is going to wind up being played. They're going to get a TV deal. It ain't going to be that big. It's probably going to be 15-20 mil just to cover. Now, Braun Breaker.
This was last year's. Are you sure you're not reading WN? Because this was last year's 2024 top 5 technical wrestlers.
Right. They put out something yesterday.
And Zack Sabre Jr. won it last year.
Yeah, and he won it this year too.
Yeah, but Josh Alexander not being in any top 5 is embarrassing.
Yeah, Josh Alexander was listed because we went through those. Were you in the review show last night with Covalent? They actually
I watched on the TV. Yeah, I was exhausted last night from watching rubbish.
Yeah, I mean, they went over it with a fine-tooth comb. I mean, the award system they had out there last night for Dave Meltzer was absolutely horrible.
His award system's crap.
He conceded way too much to WWE. Now, I will say Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker is a talent. Mm-hmm. Is he a technical wrestler? Hell
yes.
No.
Yes.
Hell no.
Yes.
No, he's got 3 moves too.
No, he doesn't.
Yes,
but he is a technical wrestler.
Yeah, the spear is one. The jump up on 3 ropes is his other move.
He's still a technical. He's not the technical wrestler ilk of a Zack Sabre Jr. technical wrestler, but he is Scott Steiner technical wrestler level. That's what he is.
Yeah, but he's not Rick Steiner technical wrestler.
No, that's true because Scott was better than Rick.
No, Rick was the technical guy. Scott was the brawn. Scott was the brawn in the whole thing.
When you actually look at it fundamentally, yeah, it was. But when you look at it fundamentally, he did change his game. He did change his game. He was still a heavy brute strength guy. I don't disagree.
Yeah.
But both guys were technical wrestlers. But if you look at who was better, I would say Scott Steiner was far better than Rick.
He's had a bigger mouth. That's basically what got Scott Steiner over. That booty thing and my freaks and all that shit. That got him over.
His match quality is still backed up though. And I think single wise, I think it was the right call to have him go single. But I think Rick Steiner unfortunately fell away because of that, because he was only a tag guy and it fell apart.
Well, no, I think Rick walked away from it for the right reasons, because they never acknowledged how much he carried that team. Rick Steiner carried that team. Scott was the looks, the brawn, and the mouth, and the mouthpiece. Rick Steiner did the work, and that's the big difference. And you can't show me one match that contradicts that at all. I watched them all. Literally, TNA shows. I watched all the TNA work, the WCW, NWA, WW. God, WWF was horrible. They should have never gone to WWF.
I have one match that I think, mind you, it might depend because it's the talent involved. But there's one match in particular where I think as a whole completely, unequivocally proves that Scott Steiner was a better single talent than Rick Steiner. But I like both Steiners. I don't like Rick as a person now for what he's done.
Yeah.
But there is one match in particular that I think sums him up so much better. And it's this one. Like I said, it could be talent involved, but you saw him at his best working.
Kurt Angle brings that out in anybody.
But in terms of like working to him as well, he had to work to Angle. You had to work to him if you want it to work.
He had to work Angle, but I mean, Angle brings out a lot of things in people that I mean, I get it. I get where you're going. I'll concede that match, but I mean, the point of it is he's working with Kurt Angle in prime Kurt Angle time. I mean,
but it's still an example of a match that you say, give me an example. That is one.
That's like Kofi Kingston worked a match with Bryan Danielson. That doesn't make Kofi Kingston a great technical wrestler. It just means Bryan Danielson made him get out there and work.
It's true. No, it's true. I don't dispute that. I mean, no, it's true. I don't dispute that. I'm just giving you an example where he actually physically had to. Because here's another thing. Seeing that match alone, Kurt Angle was injured.
Yeah, see, Kurt Angle just brings it out in people. Let me see Scott Steiner versus
he did have a great match with Samoa
Rey
Joe
Mysterio.
as well.
That match is actually out there. Rey Mysterio and Scott Steiner. Rey Mysterio made him look like a 2-year-old standing still, and this was back in early WCW. I agree.
You know, there's elements to it. There's elements to that for sure. Kurt's definitely in my top 2. Unequivocally, Kurt is in my top 2, but he isn't the reason Kurt Angle isn't number 1 for me is because there's somebody else that for me is 100% the greatest, period.
Bret Hart.
100%.
Bret Hart.
Bret Hart for me is the greatest technical wrestler of all time.
Yeah, Bret Hart's the greatest technical. Well, let me qualify.
Greatest wrestler ever.
Let me qualify that. Actually, Bret Hart and Owen Hart are tied to be the best wrestler in my mind. And you'll never move me off of that. You'll never move me off of that. Owen just never got the spotlight that Bret got until it was way later in his career. And nobody ever set Owen down and said, you don't have to stunt to get over. If somebody had set him down and said, you don't have to stunt to get over, I think Owen Hart'd still be with us right now. But I think he had a brother complex going on that was actually real life and not.
I can see why Billy would say he prefers Owen to Bret. Because I think Owen had much more charisma.
Oh, Owen was
and that's why I loved about Owen Hart as well. But if you ask me to look at match catalog, putting talent over, getting talent in a better position, I'm sorry, but Bret did more for anyone than Owen did. But Owen is still incredible in his own right, and he deserves that recognition. I think as well, and people are going to say, well, Bret might be a bit more methodical, but here's a fun fact about Bret Hart, and this is not a dig at Owen in any shape or form. But Bret Hart was right when he was on Stone Cold's podcast, 4 or 5 years ago, when he said he's never injured anybody, and he's worked with every fucker you can think of that was great. He's never injured anybody, and he makes it look real. Imagine making something who is scripted so damn real, but he doesn't injure you.
Yeah, we can get through Ring of Honor in like 5 minutes. The show overall sucked. I like the way they presented it, and that's my review for the whole show. I like the way they presented Ricochet. I like that they gave Harley Cameron a win.
That match was crap.
The match was horrible, but I'm glad they gave her the win. It's the worst Billy Starks match I've ever seen.
I think they've wasted their time even bothering with this thing. Harley Cameron looked out of place. Billy Starks didn't know what she was doing. They should have had something else. It was ridiculous.
It's called asking professional wrestlers to do something that is entirely unnatural because the boat was moving. If the boat were not moving, how many arenas do you wrestle in?
You sad child. He's away to watch
Going off
Charlotte
what?
tonight.
Why would you do that to yourself? Why don't you just like give yourself a frontal lobotomy and a colonoscopy simultaneously?
I think Chris Benoit is the best and technically, in fact, see, Chris was great, and this is where I'm going to commit. There's something about you, the guy, with your fascination for Chris Benoit, and eventually you're going to answer me the question. I think he's great, but I think there's so much better than Benoit. But Benoit is one of the best ever. I separate the artist from the art, the art from the artist, and all that shit. He was one of the greatest, but he isn't better than Angle. He isn't better than Mr. Perfect, and he isn't better than Brett or Owen. He's definitely the top 7 to top 8 echelon. I don't think you can say any lower than that. But he's still a cunt. Even though he's dead. Even though he's dead, he's still a cunt. Don't waste your time. Listen to this review instead. Trust me.
Yeah, SmackDown sucked too. Trust me. SmackDown was not good. SmackDown was an abysmal failure. But
exactly, Scott. These should have been like dark matches and nobody wants to see. This is true.
I mean, the whole thing of it is having a wrestling event on a cruise ship. If it were stable, if the cruise ship was just docked right out in the docked and stuff, and we're going to have a wrestling show that night, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you how many professional wrestlers never perform in a moving building. It's something you just should never do. I mean, if you're going to have a wrestling event on a cruise ship, dock the son of a bitch and call it a day and have your match, then put them back out to sea, and you can cut promos and you can do little things here and there on the ocean. But as soon as I saw that boat moving in the beginning of it, I'm like, this show's going to suck. I just knew it right away. When you see the boat moving, and they had the glass where you could see the boat moving at a pretty damn good clip.
This is why, even though for me it's the greatest WCW entrance of all time, Sting elevating from the helicopter at the spring break equivalent of Nitro in front of like the floating pools, those shows were still terrible because the absolute look was ridiculous. Wait, hold on. In terms of overall ability, yes, but Chris had the more successful career. Over who? Eddie Guerrero? That's factually incorrect. Yes, but the heavy wins is not going to be good. Exactly, it's not. The aesthetic looks good. I don't think anyone can deny that. The aesthetic of the cruise shows are good, but the way they're done, it just doesn't work. They're fun though. Like they're fun in that way and you're having a good time. But it doesn't stand out. It really doesn't. Yeah, that's the greatest stunt. Like that's the greatest stunt, Billy, I agree. But the greatest entrance is Sting. Like the greatest WCW particular entrance where it involves water is that helicopter hanging over the pools. Those shows never work because you can't get successful run-ins. Because you've got to be running over water bridges and it's so thin and narrow. It doesn't work. But anyway, so long story short, Ring of Honor only had 2 good matches. Ricochet versus Serpentico. And Takeshita versus Tommy Billington, which was a pointless match anyway. But it was
got Tommy Billington some FaceTime, and it got him some FaceTime with Takeshita. It was not a pointless match. I understand why they did.
I dub it pointless because it's an eliminator match for a title that's not even Ring of Honor related. Just do it on Dynamite. I think it's pointless to the location, is what I'm meaning.
Right, but, and if they do it on Dynamite, somebody says, "Oh, you're wasting valuable TV time on something that ain't gonna happen." You know, I mean,
Thanks, dude. I will see you. Yeah, exactly. I'll see you tomorrow as well because we're live again tomorrow. Billington's good for the pro. I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. What I'm saying is like it's a good match for the reality of the meaning behind the title, but it shouldn't have been for Cruise of Honor televised product. That's my only thing. And I don't know about you, but see the main event, they wasted that time as well. Commander should have just went for a 10-minute shit because Nick Wayne was crap.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm trying to tell you. They're on a moving vessel, and most of these guys have not issues, but they have a hard enough time in a stable platform doing what they do.
Commander's
And
offense doesn't work on a moving object.
yeah, it didn't work. I mean, and plus they gave him black ring ropes to work with.
I think the only talent that actually made sense of themselves in this show was Jay Lethal. I think Jay Lethal's the only one who actually worked.
But he's done these. He's done these cruises like 6-7 years in a row. He's got his footing. He knows what he's doing. You know,
Exactly.
it's like that. But I mean,
these shows would have been better for technical wrestlers, pure technical wrestlers.
Yeah, but the entire show was garbage. It was garbage because the ring was moving, and with the ring moving, and plus Chris Jericho, sir, dumbass, moron, fucktard, whatever word I can think of to properly describe Jericho.
Jericho went from a great. It's weird. Chris Jericho went from a great segment this week to fucking it up in 24 hours.
But I mean,
his segment on Wednesday was brilliant. I loved the segment on Wednesday. It's the first one in months that I've actually thought this was actually good.
Yeah, but I mean, he's supposed to know the business, and why in the world would you bring 2 sets of luchadors onto your show and put black ring ropes there? You know what's getting ready to happen. Even if the boat were sitting perfectly still, they can't see the fucking ropes, you idiot. They've said this. We like the white ropes. We can see the white ropes. They can do their shit better in white, and it's cheaper. That's the dumbass part of it.
I agree.
Black ropes are more expensive than white ones. So you can't say, well, it was an expense thing, because it wasn't an expense thing. It was just a fucking moronic, ignorant thing to do and expect to put on a show. That's my entire review of Ring of Honor this week. And I did bother to watch it because I thought, wow, they've got some damn good matches lined up. Let's take a look and see what this looks like. And I got in there and I saw the boat moving. I'm like, it's going to be shit. It's going to be shit. And sure enough.
Not even kidding me, rewind at the start of the show, I went off on one because I got pissed off because the morons like Air Gold that spoiled Grand Slam. I'm still going to watch it, but now I'm annoyed that it's being spoiled when I tried to actively avoid it.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to actively avoid it, but then Raj happened. You know, I was trying to actively avoid Grand Slam altogether, and then this idiotic idiot.
Raj Giri?
Yeah, that guy happened. If that guy hadn't happened, I mean...
He's a pleb. I don't rate his opinions because he said Terminator 3 is better than Terminator 2 once.
It's just... I know. It wouldn't have even been a thing. I could have let it go. But he was like making fun of people for having actual reasonable takes about things.
I saw your reply to him and I was like, what the fuck is going on?
No, I mean, and then he tried to quote tweet me. He's like, can somebody explain this? I'm like, what? Do you need vignettes and video packages to understand this or what?
Yeah, I mean, dead serious. You commented on Apple and 47K. I burst out laughing.
Yeah, I mean, Apple, no, and that's not a lie. When I worked for Apple, they were like, okay, you guys are an elite crew, which is what we were. There was 9 of us that were an elite crew. He's like, all right, we're going to give you your biggest challenge of the year, Australia. And you've got to go through all of this training before we turn you loose. Literally 47 hours. 37 hours, actually. 37 hours of legalese training just so that we could support Australia. And I'm going to tell you right now, Australia as a country, we have used car dealers here. That's our running joke in the States. You know, you act like a used car dealer because they're all shady, they're all rotten, and they all go, oh, well, you know, this little old lady, blah, blah, blah. Every one of those sons of bitches would be doing 40 to life in Australia with their stick. That's how strict they are. They put you in jail for being a liar.
I want to come to this comment because I find this comment very, very interesting. So the guy says, I'm not focusing on how they are looked up to, I'm focusing on the accomplishments. Guerrero only had 2 years as a top player. The rest, he was a mid-card tag. Chris feuded with The Rock and Triple H. Okay, so I'm going to come back to you on this comment. Here's a fun fact. Eddie Guerrero was main event WWE in 2002. He was main event in WWE 2002, 3, 4, and 5. He was going to win the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania 22, if he hadn't died, by the way. And I'm not blaming death, I'm just saying it's a fundamental fact. So there's 4 years. He was also a main eventer for even though it was cruiserweights, he was the main event cruiserweight in 96 and 97. Chris Benoit didn't main event a WCW pay-per-view until his last pay-per-view in 1999 into 2000.
And your video locked up. There you go. Okay.
He was the main eventer in 1999. He was never a main eventer before that. WWE, he didn't main event a WWE pay-per-view until Fully Loaded 2000. He didn't get another main event program until Unforgiven, which was a month and a half later. He didn't main event another top talent as a main event star until 2003, the Royal Rumble. So there's 3 years. And then he got WrestleMania 20, Backlash 2004, and he had Bad Blood. He then got SummerSlam. After that, Chris Benoit went from main event talent to mid-card, where he eventually succumbed until his death. I think if you're looking at top the whole way through, both of them, Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero, love them or hate them, depending on your vicinity of a human being, they're even. They spent the same length of time at the top as they did in the mid-card.
But now, I will say this. Chris Benoit does have one edge over Eddie Guerrero. One edge.
I agree with that. He did win a Royal Rumble.
No, he was a horseman. He was a horseman.
And he was, yeah, true.
He was considered good enough by Ric Flair, who was the benchmark in professional wrestling, period.
It was Anderson first, though, wasn't it? It was Anderson first, technically, not Flair.
Anderson gets his marching orders. Anderson had the psychology.
Yeah, but he's still effectively the recruiter.
Yeah,
but no, it wasn't. It was J.J. Dillon. What am I saying? It was J.J. Dillon.
Flair and Dillon were the brains. Anderson was the psychology behind the promo. But basically, Flair and Dillon would sit back and go, you know what? We want to cut a promo on Dusty Rhodes. And like, Flair had the gift of gab, but Anderson had the psychology behind it. So Anderson would be like, okay, that's a cool promo, but if you add this element into it and so on and so forth, that's how they made promos. They didn't sit down and write shit. They had a couple of talking points.
He's a better psychologist than Ric Flair ever will be.
Yeah, no, Arn Anderson was the psychologist. He'll always be the psychologist in mine.
I would say Tully Blanchard as well. I think Tully Blanchard's psychology was excellent.
Blanchard was okay when he wasn't coked up. He was okay when he wasn't coked up.
Oh, I agree with that.
Up, he was the biggest fucking idiot you ever saw in the ring. You could tell when Blanchard was coked up. You could tell.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
You know, I mean, he was okay. I wouldn't put him on the same level as Arn Anderson. I damn sure wouldn't put him on the same level with Ric Flair, and I don't care how that tastes going.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I think psychology-wise, I think when he was actually on his game, he rivals Anderson.
Sober. He's a close second. He's not an equal, but a close second. He's very close second.
I'm not disagreeing with the guy in any shape or form, but then again, they chose. If you actually look at it, this is the difference. Chris Benoit main evented WrestleMania because that's when WWE did booking properly.
Yeah, but I mean,
like, what's the fundamental fact?
And plus, you got to understand something too. Eddie Guerrero is a butterfly effect character.
Yes.
He died. He died at a most inopportune moment in his life when it was encapsulated that he had gone straight and he had a main event run when he died. That's the butterfly effect right there.
100%.
Overall, if I'm comparing the three talents, and by the three talents, I'm adding an extra guy into the mix here because you had Eddie Guerrero, you had Chris Benoit, and you had Dean Malenko. Nobody ever talks about Dean Malenko.
I think you've got to go 4 then.
I don't put Perry Saturn in there because that dude had issues walking into that whole group. Filthy Animals. I know where it was, and of course,
I know, but if you've got to be fair to the argument, you still have to include him because he was still a great talent.
But I don't include Billy in there either. I don't include Billy Kingman or something like that. I can't remember. Kidman. Yeah, the one that was kind of halfway fucking
He's still got he's still got the greatest shooting star press ever.
Yeah,
between him and Liger. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't include him in that serious conversation about things because he just never could stay healthy. I mean, it's great that you do a great move, but if you can only do it once every 6 months, who cares?
It wasn't. To be fair, it wasn't really his fault he couldn't stay healthy. Like when you look at it, I mean, because when you look at his work, when you look at what he did, he led to Matt Sydal, or as WWE fans would call it, Evan Bourne.
Yeah, Matt Sydal came along with him. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, Billy Kidman is what Evan Bourne is. When Matt Sydal. The problem is when Billy Kidman came into WWE, he was still that lighter. He was basically Gregory Helms, but with the shooting star press. Except Gregory Helms had much better mat wrestling.
Yeah, Gregory Helms could do I can talk mat wrestling really well.
Exactly.
But I mean,
that's what I love about him. But then they made Billy Kidman bulk up far too much. It ruined him. He was a great cruiserweight in the best way. Like he was one of the best cruiserweights they were fortunate to get, but they fucked him over. And I don't know why they did it because let's be real, 2004 SmackDown, you had Kidman, Paul London, you had Rey Mysterio, like when it actually worked, and Chavo Guerrero who got back into wrestling. Thank God Chavo Guerrero got back into wrestling.
But that's an easy answer. You had too many of them that were breaking out of the cruiserweight into the heavyweight thing and having absolutely no issues. So WCW didn't see the point in going back and having you retrained when you bulked up because everybody else that bulked up did fine.
But Billy Kidman went from 200-pound cruiserweight to 240-pound heavyweight, and I'm like, that's not what you are, mate.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, everybody else did fine. When they were phasing the cruiserweights completely out, when Eric Bischoff was done with the program, a lot of the cruiserweights started bulking up, and they did fine. I mean, look at Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero did fine. He bulked up. Chris Benoit did fine. He had to bulk up.
Malenko was never really a worry because he was already a bulky cruiserweight anyway, but he was a technician, so we're all safe.
Yeah, and then Dean Malenko, that's the one everybody leaves out of the conversation all the time because those guys had to compete with him.
I think there's a reason why he's left out of the conversation.
Because he's boring as whale shit, but other than that.
Exactly, same as Lance Storm.
Yeah, they're boring individuals. They're the greatest. And him and Lance Storm, I will say this, I'll die on this hill.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them are probably two of the greatest wrestlers to ever do it, and you'll never know about it.
Unless you really cared about their work, and I love watching them work.
Unless you cared about seeing good professional wrestling, because they come up in every category when you talk about great matches.
Yeah, like Lance Storm versus Edge at SummerSlam 2001 is one of the best matches on that card.
Right, but he's boring.
So good. Yeah,
he's boring as hell.
I feel sorry for him because that segment that Steve Austin did for him when he fell asleep on the entrance ramp buried Lance Storm forever. It's a shame, but it's fact.
Yeah, I mean, he's horrible. And same thing with Dean Malenko. Dean Malenko, I said the last time I saw him in person, he's like, oh, what do you think, kid? I said, I think you're boring. You're a great wrestler, but you're boring. You need to fix that.
Like Chris Jericho tried to prove it to him before it was too late. Chris Jericho tried to save Dean Malenko's career before it was too late when he said the man of 1,000 holds, that promo he did, when he kept changing up on the fly. He's proven how boring he is because he's like, I know all these submissions, I know all these technical holds, I know all these takeovers, and then Jericho's like, I've got the line tamer and I've got personality. You've got your bald head and a stocky waist, but you've got no charisma. But he's like, but you're a great wrestler. He's like, he's putting him over, but he's trying to educate him, and that's Chris Jericho.
And he didn't even make it in the Horsemen. That's bad. I mean,
Oh, he was
at
he was
least
worse
Benoit
than
did.
he was worse for the Four Horsemen than Mongo McMichael, and he should never have been in the Four Horsemen anyway. Anyway, I'm gonna quickly take a bathroom break. In the meantime, you can start mugging off that stupid tag match between the Outrunners and the Grizzled Veterans. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to mug that shit off, and then we're coming back to do
It's not going to
SmackDown.
take me 5 minutes. I can do it in 20 seconds. The match was absolutely horrible. Should have never been put on. It exposed the Outrunners more than it did the Grizzled Young Veterans. That's it. That's the whole post on it. It's yeah, if you have questions, jump in because I don't have a whole lot to say about Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor sucked. I'm waiting for SmackDown so I can bury that too. I can bury that in a little bit more detail than I could Ring of Honor because, like I said, I watched the 3 matches I wanted to watch. They were good. I liked them. I wish they'd had the ship standing still. Everybody would have looked better, but I understood. I gave them the benefit of the doubt because the boat itself, when it's actually moving, if you jump up in the air and the floor moves 3 feet, you're in trouble. And if you're a professional wrestler and you jump up in the air as professional wrestlers do, and the ring moves a foot, you're in trouble. That's the whole thing about it. They didn't have it counterbalanced. They didn't have anything. Some ships have counterbalance so you can play like the NBA occasionally will do a cruise ship play. And those games look horrible as shit too because most of the NBA players can go twice as far with half the effort and they're not used to it. Same thing with everything else, you know? But I'm just saying, I mean, that's the whole take. That's the whole take of it. I mean, absolutely, Ring of Honor was probably not the best Ring of Honor I've seen so far. I'm waiting to see what kind of Australian content they put out here. I was looking forward to the match, and I was
Which
looking
one's
forward
that?
to the show. Huh?
Which match is that?
No, we're still talking about the shitty match there, and I was just going
All
through
right,
the
yeah.
part of it. If you're on a boat and you jump up and the floor moves a foot, that's bad for you. But if you're a professional wrestler and you jump up and the whole fucking ring moves out from under you, that's a problem.
Yeah,
You know?
that's true. He didn't look healthy, but here's the thing: he was trying to get himself healthy. See,
No,
Benoit was lucky. Benoit
Wait.
was lucky that it wasn't coming down on him, but the mental effect showed. Great question from Abel, straight to you. What's your worst ever pay-per-view you've watched which had a great card on paper?
That one's getting ready to come out this year at WrestleMania. I'm just going to break that down for you. Before I say what's the worst one I've ever watched, it's coming up. It's coming up right now. They have no creative direction. This is the worst road to WrestleMania I've ever seen. But the absolute worst one was ECW. John Cena and Rob Van Dam.
ECW One Night Stand 2006.
Yeah, that's the absolute worst pay-per-view I've ever watched where the card looked really, really hyped. And then I realized when we got into the show, as probably most of the ECW fans in attendance that got bent over a table and their cheeks spread to do that show, they probably realized 3 minutes into it that they were burying ECW. So ECW One Night Stand, absolute worst pay-per-view I've ever seen. But wait,
It only has 2 good
WWE
matches.
on our heels. They're gonna put a stinker out for WrestleMania, and the apologists are going to be apologizing for months.
Crazy thing is that that ECW show that you're speaking of only had 2 good matches in my opinion of the whole night. Angle versus Orton, because Orton actually respects ECW fan base weirdly enough, so that match actually worked.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one I would say is Sabu versus Mysterio, where it went to a draw.
Anything with Sabu in it's good, and Sabu was still good working. The only thing that really stood out to me about ECW One Night Stand was Paul Heyman looking at JBL square in the eye and telling him the only reason he was world champion is because Hunter didn't want to work on Tuesdays.
Which is a fact.
Which was an absolute fact. I mean, that was just an absolute fact. Mania's got plenty of hype to it. The problem is when we get into
He is
SmackDown,
right though. I actually agree with Scott. There is no hype for Mania.
no,
It's dipped.
no, they're trying their ass off to hype it out. The problem is, and can we just skip over Ring of Honor? The show sucked. Have a good
Oh yeah,
day.
we're done with
Okay,
Main
Ring of
Event.
Honor's over with. The show fucking sucked. Have a good
Yeah,
day.
we're talking we're talking shutdown now. Not
Yeah, we're talking
that.
shutdown.
This is a horrible show as well, but this is just 2 matches.
Yeah, December to Dismember was not as bad as ECW One Night Stand because it was clearly evident once you got into the show that it was a planned funeral and not a planned revival. When you realized it was a planned funeral, that ruined the whole fucking show right there.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. Everybody's saying that WWE doesn't have any hype for WrestleMania. They are hyping the ever living fuck out of it. The problem is you can't get over the reactions of the actual fucking stars involved in this. Cody Rhodes gets up, lays out a half-ass promo, and we already know he's facing John Cena. John Cena is going to win the Elimination Chamber, face Cody Rhodes. We know this.
Yes.
It's not going to be CM Punk because there's no match in it. CM Punk's match is going to be him and Seth Rollins in the chamber. They're going to wind up with a three-way match between him, Rollins, and Reigns. That's going to happen.
Reigns is screwing them both.
Reigns is like, if I can't be the main event, none of y'all motherfuckers can. So that's basically how he's doing it. But you have right now the potential for an absolute barn burner of a match between Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton, and it would be a barn burner match. Tiffany Stratton was trained in the same exact fucking place that Charlotte Flair's dad was trained. Literally, same barn, same building, same everything. She's got
same person.
Same people. Trained her dad, trained her. This match would be fucking awesome if WWE could somehow figure out how to get off of its own dick, get out of its own way, and just let some of this stuff happen naturally. But I watched that thing last night, and Charlotte Flair was a million miles away from that ring when she was cutting that promo on Tiffany Stratton, and it couldn't have been more obvious. Anytime a wrestler brings a chair into the ring and sits on it, that is a throwback to the way WWE performers used to complain about the product live on television. If they brought a chair into the ring and set it in the ring.
That's the main event.
Yeah, he's going to review Impact. I'm going to go work on my show because I got nothing for Impact. I didn't watch it. I'm not even going to pretend like I know something about it because I don't, and I don't want to fuck up the show with bad takes. Seriously, I believe in you can fuck up a good show with bad takes, and I'm going to bow out when I'm done with this.
You're a good man. You're a good man.
But Charlotte Flair was 1 million miles away from that ring when she sat down and said, "The Queen chooses you." There was no pop. There was nothing there because Charlotte didn't even fucking believe her own promo. And by the way, sweetheart, you know we rock together. I've always been nothing but complimentary about yourself. You need to put about 3-4 pounds on that ass. Your clothes were falling off of you. And it was visible that you were pulling them up. So either get a better stylist or put some weight on because your clothes ain't fitting you no more. And I personally would like to know why. Is it that bad? I mean, is life that bad for you? But seriously, I mean, she was pulling her pants up going in the ring like they were falling off her waist.
Yeah.
And so that didn't sit well at all. So Cody Rhodes leads the show off. Was it Cody Rhodes led the show off last night, right?
So it was a 7-minute recap. Then it was Cody Rhodes discussing who's in the chamber. He mugs off Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre comes out, and then Jacob Fatu appears, and then McIntyre fucks off. And then Solo appears, and then that's it.
Yeah, I mean,
long story short, that is the opener of SmackDown. That is your opener.
And you have an opportunity here. WWE, where all those W's stand for everything but fucking wrestling. Okay? You have a golden opportunity to win a fan base here. If you keep fumbling Jacob Fatu, the way you're fumbling Jacob Fatu, in the manner that you are fumbling Jacob Fatu.
That's a great question. Have you heard of this? I haven't. I haven't, so I'm not sure. Kicking it with Ross?
I've heard about it. I generally don't get into the rah-rah guys who try to monetize arguments on the web. I don't get into it that much because if I wanted to, I could monetize it. I just like shooting on idiots. That's what I like to do.
If a Streamlabs link in, but I've said it so many times. I've got no interest in monetizing my channel. But if someone says to me, "You should do it," I'll think about it. But I just don't have the idea for it. I don't want to take your guys' money. I just want you guys to have fun with me.
No, it's not even about that. It's like I could be up in the views. I could be pulling in cash if I wanted to do it that way.
So could I, but it doesn't motivate me.
It's not even about that. I could collect monetization on X if I wanted to. I don't. So, but
I'm refusing to sign up for that. I'm not signing up for a blue tick. They can feck off.
But you get back to the actual part of the show. There was no energy in this show at all that made you feel like it was a pay-per-view that they were building to. I don't know what the fuck they're building to. So far, I know that we've got Jey Uso versus Gunther, which is going to be an absolute bore fest full of nothing but super kicks and chops.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've got Charlotte Flair, who doesn't give a fuck where she's at right now, and it shows.
Has picked her blonde young half.
Having a match with Tiffany Stratton that could fucking cook. If either one of them cared about the match, it's like WWE's like, okay, Charlotte and Tiffany, and they're like, okay, boss, we'll go figure it out, and they just walk out the door. And I mean, creative is
spot on, Scott. It is a joke.
Gunther's going to lose that title. I mean, we need to start getting ready for the idea and the notion of World Heavyweight Champion Jey Uso and Yeats. And it's amazing. And this is for all the fans now. Fans need to get this work too.
This is why I'm glad that in between this period of time is TNA Unbreakable, because then I can't be broken by WrestleMania.
Oh, you can be. Don't dare them. Don't dare them. They'll put the work in.
I won't be. The reason why I won't be broken by WrestleMania is because I'm already going in knowing it's going to be shit. So I'm not going to get broken.
So, but I mean, the whole notion of the idea that we are going to have to deal with World Heavyweight Champion Jey Uso. And the fact of the matter is the meltdown when they take that title right back off of him.
It's going to hurt big time for those fans.
And now you've got Jacob Fatu, who honestly, in my honest opinion, right now with the landscape of everything, and I'm including all your favorites in it, Jacob Fatu is the absolute best wrestler they have on any of their shows right now. I'm including your favorites in there.
He went to watch a crap show. That's what he went to do. Yep. The World Yeet Championship. I'm genuinely... Here's a funny thing, right? And you'll agree... I know for a fact you'll agree with me on this because you're all about establishing a championship, which I'm going to cook on very shortly as well, ironically. You had Seth Rollins hold the title for close to a year. Did a relatively decent job establishing the newly created World Heavyweight Championship. Did his best, in my opinion, with what he had. Damian Priest took it, tried his hardest with his community to get an established community watching on that. And what's happened since? Gunther's had the worst world title reign since Alberto Del Rio in 2011. It's rubbish. It is dead in the water.
Here's how you fix that.
Here's how you fix
that. No. As fans,
I think he'll be fine. I think
he's not going to get lost in the shuffle. WWE doesn't effectively present to you how many wrestlers they actually have on the books right now.
Fatal Firestar. Hello.
So, I mean,
That's a great comparison. That is actually fundamentally correct.
yeah, I mean, but if WWE fully conveyed to you how many talents they have signed right now that are sitting in catering, I mean, every time I see this, well, I don't mind if he goes to AEW. I just don't want to see him get lost in the shuffle. WWE right now has 100 men that are not on television. 100. They have
Oh,
like
Jesus.
60 women that are not on television right now.
Oh, dear God. Why?
Good.
That is stupid.
No, not really.
Oh, it is. This is stupid.
Mm-mm.
Why
No,
is
no.
he?
And let me back up. Let me back up. I'll qualify what you're saying. If they bring in the DX Road Dog,
Oh, then yes.
if they bring in the DX Road Dog, that would qualify it as being stupid because his DX work sucked ass. Now, if they bring in the Road Dog work, the one that actually made Jeff Jarrett into something he's not. Yeah, but I mean, that's the whole thing of it. Every time somebody says something about, oh, I really like that he's going there, I just hope he don't get lost in the shuffle. There are hundreds of people in WWE you don't even know are lost in the shuffle right now. But they want you to believe it's just that one company. If AEW gets them, they're going to get lost in the shuffle. Forget about the 125 people they got in catering back there, waiting to be used. They're not getting lost in the shuffle. But WWE has way more talent on their books, and that's why they stay angry with AEW, because to keep that talent, they now have to pay more. They had that talent in there for $100.50 a head, and that same talent that they had for $100.50, they now have to pay $300.50 for.
This is what I don't like about the argument, right? I hate that people use the same arguments for AEW and TNA that they don't do it for WWE because of bias. But then if you say that a talent is leaving AEW, or they're leaving TNA, it's get them straight to WWE, and I'm like, you don't see how hypocritical how much of a hypocrite you come across. Like, yeah, instantly, like, it's hypocritical, and people are still using the whole exit from Guantanamo Bay, and I'm like, how immature do you have to be to say that?
But long story short,
come on.
I'm still mystified with this main event, but we'll get to that here in a minute. But the notion that they are not adequately using Jacob Fatu to even 5% of his capability it's not unwarranted.
But they've got new stars, apparently, Scott.
So, I mean, it's just the whole thing of it is Jacob Fatu comes in there. They're finally giving him a mic. You're finally like, okay, maybe they're going to let him cook. They let him cook, and then they freeze him for Solo Coleslaw.
He's an unbelievable talent. Like, he is. Jacob, what people are saying.
Is your boy still in here? Jacob Fatu is what everybody thinks Roman Reigns is.
Oh, he's away watching Smackdown. I'll be surprised if Billy appears for that comment. But
yeah, I mean, Billy, if you're still listening right now, Jacob Fatu is exactly what everybody thinks Roman Reigns is.
A monster talent, but it can actually work.
He can work. He can work the mic. He may not work. I'm the head of the table. As opposed to Jacob Fatu say, I'm going straight to your ass.
The reason why
that's how men talk when they're getting ready to fight, guys.
Yeah.
They don't sit there and go, This
is true. You did book that period. The reason why I preferably don't want Road Dogg is because of who he's directly firm in line to.
Mm-hmm.
I would have given the co-writer leadership. I would have given it to Robert Roode. For me,
Robert Roode deserves it. Yeah, I'm not going.
If he isn't one of the co-writers, I will be pissed.
He is. He's going to be a co-writer for.
And good, because if he wasn't, I would be annoyed because he's far better creatively than Road Dogg ever was.
Excuse me.
Brian James, in my opinion, always will be. Always will
And the
be.
head booker for everything, or the head creative writer right now, is Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's the head writer for
That's
everybody.
okay though. At least he's actually someone who you can rely on for writing. It's just the way above him who signs certain things off is a clusterfuck.
But I'm
Like
just saying, I mean, it boggles my imagination how you have Jacob Fatu and you fumble him, and even when they're trying to fumble him, he still rises to the occasion. They are actively fumbling Jacob Fatu right now, and he's still showing up and still showing out. He is everything that everybody thinks the rest of this bloodline is. Jacob
it's what
Fatu is
generations.
that guy.
It's what generational talent does.
Mm-hmm.
Newsflash. That's why Josh Alexander's a top 5 talent in the world.
Josh Alexander to me is a top 2 talent. I've been thinking about that this whole show, and I can't really decide between him and Takeshita right now.
I think he's better than Takeshita personally.
No, I'm talking about an overall work rate, match rate, and everything else.
He's better than Takeshita. Yeah,
I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time convincing because Takeshita's all over the place, all different styles. He worked a Defy match. He worked a New Japan match.
It's still the same style. It's just different company. But I think if you actually look at who's better, I fundamentally enjoy Takeshita, and I've seen him live. Seen Josh Alexander live.
Yeah,
Josh Alexander wipes the floor with him on every metric.
Well, I mean, now that's an opinion thing on that because I think both of them are about equally as talented. I do. I believe equally. They get the same match results. They get the same reaction out of the fans. And one of them happens to have 2 other contracts because he's smart enough to know, give me a contract and I'll hang out with you. That's what Josh Alexander needs to do. He needs to
the reason why he doesn't. I think the reason why he doesn't do that is because he wants to give his full commitment to one and make one better instead of going between multiple and trying to see what he can do in that establishment. Whereas we've seen what he does when he does one company plus independence. The guy's just ahead of everybody when it comes to his style. Nobody, in my opinion, is on his level for what he does. I mean,
like I said, and that's your opinion on that, and I respect that. I just happen to think that work rate and everything else between the 2 of them. I'm not saying Josh Alexander is beneath him. I'm saying they're pretty much on an equal plane because they've worked. Takeshita's outworked him by 3 matches. Takeshita's outworked Josh Alexander by 3 matches. He's got 3 more matches on his slate that Josh doesn't have. That's it.
I think the reason more work. See, this is where I disagree with you in the circumstance. The reason why I disagree with you is because he pulled himself out of those to concentrate on what he was gearing up for, and that was this free agency. He pulled himself out for that. But I also think if you base on that he's been outworked 3 matches to 1.
No. I'm not even saying that. I'm not saying
he's
that.
He's choosing to do those. Like Takeshita's choosing to do all that, but he is going to do fundamentally the one thing that Josh Alexander's never done. Yeah, Takeshita's going to burn himself out.
Well, no, I mean, he's not even doing that. That's the crazy part of it. He's got 3 contracts right now.
Oh, yeah, he's clever in that way. Like, he is so clever for that.
And I believe in my heart of hearts that Josh Alexander ought to be a contract collector, too, because he ought to have at least 3 streams of revenue guaranteed.
I agree.
While he's young. See, Takeshita's not stupid. He's got 3 streams of revenue if he doesn't wrestle a match tomorrow.
Yeah.
He's got 3 contracts that are paying him to work. Whether he wrestles tomorrow or not is irrelevant. He's going to wrestle tonight. Well, he wrestled today. But I'm saying that I think, and that's not saying that Josh Alexander is inferior to him. I'm saying Josh Alexander ought to take a page out of his book and take a contract with AEW and take a contract with New Japan. That way, if by some stroke of unfortunate luck, AEW folds up shop tomorrow, then what's Josh Alexander going to do? WWE?
No, I agree. I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. I don't disagree in that metric. I think Takeshita's very smart in that way. The problem for Takeshita is his schedule in general.
No, Del Rio. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think Takeshita's smart. I don't disagree with you in that way. I think Takeshita's very smart for what he's done financially to assure himself his future. I just think Josh Alexander is smarter than Takeshita in the way that the reality of what they're working, Takeshita is on a schedule that is burning him out so fast and it's a shame because he's so good.
I
But
keep
the
thinking
opposite, though,
I keep thinking he's going to burn out, but he doesn't. That's the crazy part of it. He wrestled 4
Mhm.
matches this week. When he
Yeah.
finished tonight, he wrestled
Yeah.
4 major matches this week.
Yeah. But I
And
think
you
at
would
some
think
point,
you would
yeah,
think he's going to burn out, but it's just like
I
he
think at
gets
some
in
point
there.
in reality it is coming. I don't want it to happen. This is just me like looking out, looking in. Eventually it is coming. But I think the good thing is though is he will know when to slow it down a little bit where he's not disrespecting where he's working for or where he's contracted, but he'll slow it down so it protects him as well. I think that's why Josh didn't go and do all those indies plus TNA at once. Because he was making a decision on where he was going to go. He didn't want to disrespect. He didn't want to disrespect the indies in that way. I think he was actually respecting the indie promotion by saying, "I have to make my decision. I'm not there yet. I'm pulling out." And he didn't do what Zilla Vatu did, for example, where he is contract to pay there. Josh gave the money back.
Yeah,
He actually,
Zilla is like.
I think to say way better might be a bit harsh.
Now, I don't think Takeshita is way better than Josh. I think they're
Me
on
neither.
equal playing fields. I do believe in my heart of hearts they're on equal playing fields. I like watching Josh work, but I don't think he's better than Takeshita. I like watching Takeshita work. I don't think he's better than Josh. I think they both have their own moments in their ways and their presentations.
Would you concede
Takeshita's a little smarter by getting the money while he's doing it? It's a 1-year deal.
Would you concede the argument that Josh Alexander is far better than Takeshita at a technical wrestling level?
Technical wrestling, yeah, I hand it to it.
Takeshita is far better than Josh Alexander at a hard-hitting match style. Because I would concede that argument. Because technical level-wise, Takeshita would get run circles around.
Yeah, I mean that is totally acceptable. I would put him in a technical, but I mean as far as what we know about professional wrestling, where it's at right now, with the let's just call it what it is. Jey Uso is getting ready to be Jey Uso, and his fucking Yeet Chan is getting ready to be world heavyweight champion. This man can't wrestle out of a paper bag with directions written on all 4 sides.
I agree with that 100%.
But he's still going to sell the merchandise. He's still going to do this. He's still going to be the world champion. He's still going to be the benchmark of the Raw brand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
I don't disagree with you in the slightest.
So when I say that, and plus Takeshita's contracts, with the exception of AEW, are only 1-year deals. I can do anything on my head for 1 year. Even at my age, I can do anything that is that I'm normally capable of doing. I can do it for 3 different people for 1 year standing on my head. Now, maybe past a year, I might get a little burned out. We'll find out soon enough. But, I mean, when it comes to, where would I put Austin Aries?
On the shit list.
He failed himself. Fuck that guy. Anyway, he was a good wrestler who failed himself. Austin Aries had an opportunity to be a great wrestler, and he fucked himself. So, bye. See ya. Same thing with Ken Anderson. Ken Anderson had the opportunity to be a great wrestler, fucked himself.
He only had 4 good matches in his 4 good matches in his life.
Yeah.
3 with Angle and 1 with Taker.
Right.
That's
it. That's it.
I think to use the age argument on between Takeshita and I get what Fernando's saying though. You know what I mean? Like I agree with Fernando in terms of like he's younger and much higher upside. But there's only 8 years between them. Takeshita's 30 this year. He's only 2 years older than me.
Well,
whereas Josh Alexander is 38 this year. But for me, the age doesn't matter. It's the deliverance. And if you look at what Josh Alexander's done for the past 7 years in TNA, that equates to what Takeshita's done with New Japan, DDT, and AEW. I think to use the age argument, you can only use it for what can come. But if you look at the past, if you look at what Josh Alexander was doing at 30, not just right now, but using his 30, he was carrying one company on his own. Josh Alexander in 2017, 2018 to now is exactly what AJ Styles was from 2002 to 2013. He was carrying a company on his own.
But I understand the age argument here because the one factor you keep leaving out of this is the bump count. Josh
Yeah,
Alexander has 8 more years of bump count on him than
and that's
Takeshita
important.
does.
But that is important as well.
Well, it's important for the fact of longevity. So where Josh Alexander has gotten himself to by hook or by crook, however it is, his ceiling is coming up in 2 to 3 years.
I also think as well when you look at, and this is a fundamental point though, when you look at the capability, they've both worked with some of the greatest you'll ever see in their own way. They've done that. But I also think as well is the type of matches they have to work. Takeshita's yet to do a 60-minute Ironman match, whereas Josh Alexander is yet. Whereas not the level of Alexander's done was what I'm saying.
Well, it's not the level of Alexander, but I think he was like 27 when he did it. That's a big difference.
Yeah, but I'm getting to my point though.
Go ahead.
He hasn't done that level of a 60-minute match, but Alexander also hasn't done the G1 level of matches that Takeshi's also done. So they both act, in my opinion, this is where I like both. Both of them balance each other out in that way. But you put them both together again, just like the Maple Leaf match, which was my match of the year last year. You put them both together, you get the perfect contrast of two different styles all in one.
Yeah, they're going to run that one back, I think. I think they're both signed for Maple Leaf this year.
He was close to, I think he was 37, 38, something like that. I think he was quite old, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, DDP was almost 40 years old when they put the title on him, but he didn't start the business until he was 34. So DDP will always be the most improved wrestler of all time. Because he started the business at 34 and they put a title on him at 37 or 38. I forget what it was. But the fact of it is he was old when he got started. He didn't even get bump training until he was 35.
He's only a week. His birthday's only a week ahead of mine. So.
But anyway, getting back to
he's 1956. So I don't mean to cut you off there. So he's 1956 when he was born. He won the world title for the first time in '99. So there's your simple math. He won the world title at 43.
Yeah.
There you go. And his first world title match was 1998. So 42 years old, he was already competing for world championships.
Yeah, but he did it from an older launching point. But no, I mean, it's like I'm not saying that Josh is worse than anybody because he's not. The notion though is he's got a lot of years up there and his bump count is running low. What? Huh? Who said that?
Austin Aries ahead of both over Takeshita and Josh Alexander? No. I'm sorry, but if it wasn't for, and this is coming from me as a hardcore TNA fan, if it wasn't for Bobby Roode saying, give this guy a chance as world champion,
he would have never won.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but Austin Aries to a degree, good worker. To a degree, he had a decent promo, but Austin Aries, if it wasn't for him being an absolute shithead and a politician, he would never have got to where he was.
No, he wouldn't.
He is beyond. He's actually he is actually a great worker, but he's also one of the most delusional talents ever.
Yeah, he thought way more of himself than he actually was. Fuck him. There's
actually a funny thing about Austin Aries. Actually, that's really funny. This is something that's really important to you guys that obsess over Meltzer star ratings. See, in 2011, 2012, he continuously said on TNA promos that he averages 4-star matches per pay-per-view match every single fucking TNA week, every weekly episode, right? He is the epitome of somebody who is more obsessive with star ratings than Eric Bischoff is when it comes to Meltzer. That's a fact. Is ZSJ's contract up soon? He has another. I think his contract's next year. I think it's next year. He was a great heel for 5 months. And that's me saying it. He was only a great heel for 5 months and then he fell out of the water because he gave up the way he wanted to do. But that is the reality of Austin Aries. The good thing is though, the only good thing he's ever done in his life was put Penta over as a world champion, which
Yeah.
I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for that. But I give up on. Oh gee, Catherine, please stop. She hates Hangman but calls Takeshita hot. Jesus, Catherine. Jesus, Catherine. Before we discuss SmackDown, Abel's question: what is your dream match from any promotion or collaboration type? I can answer that. Because in a way, I actually got it. I already got my dream collaborative match. Both in my lifetime and before my lifetime. Before is Terry Funk versus Bret Hart, Wrestle War. Well, the Wrestle War event that they did in '97. I wasn't old enough to watch it, but I have watched it. The other is Tanahashi versus Kurt Angle. That for me is the dream match collaboration because it's peak TNA and peak New Japan. That for me is my dream match from any promotion collaboration type. I don't think there's.
Go ahead.
I don't think that would be funny. And yes, he is. I think when it comes to the best in their respective nations and contracted work, to be fair, ZSJ and Kurt Angle is another great one, but I think when you look at signed talent to signed talent, I would probably say it's Angle versus it's either Angle versus Nakamura or Angle versus Tanahashi, and then before me, Brett versus Funk, because that was 47 minutes of beauty. If I'm being honest.
Let's see. I already got one of my dream matches. I wanted to see Omega and Gabe Kidd. Omega and Gabe Kidd was one of my dream matches. I got to see that, and it fully delivered. It delivered on levels that I could understand why Tanahashi was crying, because I can tell you right now, in the live watch along, I was crying too. That match was beautiful.
If I'm doing it from a level playing field where there's no Booker influence involved, I would say AJ Styles versus Kenny Omega.
That's where I was going with it next. My actual dream match that we'll never see will be AJ Styles versus either Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, which has already happened, I found out.
It has, yeah.
And Will Ospreay versus Zack Sabre Jr. versus Kenny Omega in a three-way for a title. Any title. I don't care if it's the bitch spitting contest. Any title. You put a title on top of that match right there, and that is going to be a roller coaster. If they do it in the next year or so, that would be a roller coaster I want to ride. That's one.
I think the only other two is AJ versus. It's either AJ versus Brett or AJ versus Shawn Michaels, like prime Shawn Michaels, or it's Brett versus Angle.
And that's why WWE keeps doing what they're doing. The end goal of it is
or even Kurt versus perfect. Longer than a Royal Rumble interaction would have been perfect. Like Kenny Omega versus Shawn Michaels is another one as well, to be fair.
But that's why they keep. I mean, Paul Heyman has made absolutely no bones about the fact that he wants Kenny Omega, and that's part of why they keep trying to. They keep trying to bury AEW, because if they can get Kenny Omega, you might get some of this other stuff.
Yeah,
it's
true, but this is true as well. The guy, but you got to think about it as well. Kennedy also let himself down by just being unsafe.
Kennedy was an unsafe worker guy. Seriously,
he was just lucky that he was safe with Kurt Angle, because Kurt Angle would have killed him if he fucked him up.
Yeah, Kurt Angle. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, Kennedy was not a safe worker, and he didn't want to take training. That was the big piece of it. They wanted to train him, but he didn't want to train, so Vince cut him. Then he went to TNA, messed a few people up there. They wanted to work with him. He didn't want to get the work, so they just relegated him till his contract ran out.
I agree. Nakamura versus Styles in New Japan was incredible, and Okada versus Rollins is actually a good shout. Actually, I wouldn't dispute. I would also say Okada versus, just from generational level of second generation, I'd say Okada versus Braun Breaker is actually another one for me on a different
I'd like to
perspective.
see that one. I could live with that.
Yeah.
Younger Okada though. More Okada than what we see in AEW right now. But yeah,
Okada
see,
with
I
his
can
body not
criticize
breaking down.
AEW.
Okada with a not a broken body.
Yeah,
Naito versus if I'm looking at Naito versus a younger Jericho would
yeah,
have been far better because Jericho redefined himself, but Naito, to be fair at the time, Naito could work.
yeah,
But
yeah. That
if
took
it
a
had
work.
been this conversion, I would have killed myself because those two are two of my all-time favorites. But
But Roman
even
Reigns is still the tribal chief, so you need to acknowledge your tribal chief.
no, I am. But yeah, I think the ultimate dream match is Bret Hart versus Kurt Angle. Anyway,
So
that's your two style collaborations that can't be
yeah,
matched. Kurt Angle, actually no, I'll go one further. I'd say even if it happened in a reality where you just make it'd be a video game thing, but Prime Angle versus Prime Alexander would have been one for me as well.
that would be a good match right there. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I really wouldn't mind seeing an unwashed Chad Gable versus Josh Alexander, because we could actually have that match right now. If Chad Gable weren't a fucking moron, we could have that match.
Yeah, that would have been unreal.
If Chad Gable wasn't such a fucking idiot, we could have had that match. That match could happen somewhere. But if Chad Gable's a fucking idiot, so screw him too. Anyway, Cody Rhodes, getting back to the SmackDown stuff, because I really do need to get ready for the show and I need to be out here in another hour at tops. I'm sorry.
No,
But
you'll be fine. I'm only going to be going for like another 30 minutes. TNA was good except from the opening match, which was really stupid, and then suspending Nick Nemeth over nothing. If that leads to Ryan Nemeth versus Joe Hendry, then Jesus Christ.
it's going to happen.
Master Slamovich, good title match, decent. And Josh Alexander's farewell main event was fitting. TNA reviewed.
Yeah,
like that is literally it. Like it wasn't a good week for TNA. It wasn't a perfect send off for Alexander, put it that way.
but it wasn't a good week for wrestling at all. I don't disagree with that, because I kind of felt like everybody was phoning it in the whole week.
Yeah.
And because we had these big shows going on, NXT, I watched it up and until they highlighted the white dude beating the black dude with a leather strap again during the middle. We have Martin Luther King Jr. and Black History Month right now in February. We have a whole month dedicated to nothing but African American history, Martin Luther King Jr. and all that other bullshit. Not bullshit in that way, but I'm just saying the shit that we generally argue about anyway. So to have like a white dude beating a black dude with a leather strap on television was just stupid. Yeah, perfect summary. Didn't watch it. No, I unfortunately watched it because I had a show for it last night. And I mean, from start to finish, bell to bell, just when I think, and this is my pregame thought right here.
It was
just when I think WWE can't fuck you in a different position, they get a Kama Sutra book, they show you the picture they're getting ready to fuck you with, and then they proceed to do it.
Yeah.
Just when you think they've run out of positions to fuck you with, they pull a book out and go, no, we bought a book. So, I mean, the letdowns on this show were astronomical. This is not a go-home show for my cousin Vinny, much less like a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I mean, my cousin Vinny had a better go-home than what the fuck's going on here.
This was it was just awful. And I feel bad for Stratus.
Is it time? Have we gotten to a point yet of where we can fundamentally say that Triple H is incapable of booking anything original?
Yes.
Have we gotten to the point now of where WWE fans understand the rehash? That all of this shit is a rehash. The Elimination Chamber, the only not rehash, but it's still a rehash, is going to be Tiffany and Trish Stratus versus King Kong and the poison retarded pixie that nobody wants to hear about. And it's still a rehash. But they added, they threw a little oil in there, they threw a couple extra spices on top of it, they stuck Trish Stratus in it, so it's not technically, it's not a rehash. Oh yeah, and that's another thing too. When are we going to get another? I tell you what, when are we going to get a U.S. title match that Mia Yim is not involved in? I'll wait. Who's up? Who's in the batter's box for that? Name one. I'll wait. Don't say BFAB because they sure as hell ain't putting the title on BFAB. Did he disappear on me again? So, I mean, they don't have anything for anybody. The show opens up with absolute schoolyard playground bullshit. Cody Rhodes, blah, blah, blah. Jey Uso, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to call a few random names, blah, blah, blah. And the random names show up, blah, blah, blah. Then Jacob Fatu and Cornholio show up, blah, blah, blah. And a little bit of jaw jacking, blah, blah, blah.
Hey, we got women's titles. You mean fuck all?
Hey, we're going to make some new titles. And we're not going to defend them. We don't even have an idea. But
yeah, if I'm being honest, like all across the board this week, it was just a bad week for wrestling.
Yeah,
and it's worse as well because imagine trying to get a new fan in, and this is what you're being succumbed to. You're succumbed to the same shit every week.
But you have to consider this. You have to consider this, Reese. You have to. We have to.
Mm-hmm.
We have WrestleMania coming up that is totally planned because that's why we couldn't get Ricky Starks on the main show.
Yep.
But while it's totally planned, you might need to have a couple of allowances in case it's not totally planned. The only time it's totally planned is when Ricky Starks doesn't show up. But now for the rest of us that have to deal with this, and I'm covering Vengeance Day at 6:00, and
why?
Because I'm a masochist. What can I say?
You are going to regret it.
Oh, I know I'm going to regret it. I ain't worried about it. But people wanted to see the show, so I put the show together. There is nothing redeeming about this road to WrestleMania. It's like I keep saying, it's like a road through West Virginia, and the potholes are big enough to eat cars. You know, Bret Hart was not only right about that, it is painfully obvious that Triple H has not one fucking clue what he's doing. Paul Levesque, Stephanie, I'm telling you both right now, Stephanie, you married a dud. You can hate me all you want. I don't give a shit. This dude can't book fucking Romper Room right now. He can't book a fucking game of Twister. He doesn't know how to book anything. And literally. It is clear. It is literally clear there is no road to WrestleMania. We've got people just walking in here, going into business for themselves. Charlotte Flair's like, well, the better match for Charlotte Flair would be Rhea Ripley.
Mm-hmm.
But they've bastardized that so much.
I think it would be okay, if I'm being honest.
Unfortunately, I think Grand Slam's going to knock it the fuck out of the park. Unfortunately, I know this because I couldn't get away from spoilers either. I'm still doing the show.
Yeah, but this is fundamental fact that Bret Hart was right. He's always right.
Yeah, there is no, but now and at the same time, Leo, because I see your comment here and it makes total sense. There is no such thing as an original story for professional wrestling.
Not in 2025.
You can't write a story that I can't see, that I don't understand. You can't. They're trying, and I can't. You can't write a story.
Fundamental thing, and this is something that people need to accept as well. And yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be unbiased here. WWE, TNA, lesser extent, AEW, lesser extent. Because you're looking at North America and they all work the same way. They all have the same problem. They all have the exact same problem, but the problem is one of them will be praised to the moon. The other two will be lambasted to the moons of Pluto. Well, actually, it's not a planet anymore. The moons of Jupiter. Because of faux pas tribalism that does nothing in 2025.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind tribalism if they actually understood what the fuck they were talking about. They don't. And that was one of the things that pisses me off about Raj. Raj claims to know something about numbers. You put numbers in front of him and he turns into Forrest Gump's shadow. That's just not even an opinion. That's not a hate piece. That's not anything. You put numbers in front of this man, he turns into Forrest Gump's shadow, and Forrest Gump was pretty dumb.
He sold his creation. He sold his creation just so he could praise the fuck out of one and negate the other. He used to be. I would never give Raj as much time a day. I never really liked him as much anyway. But at one point, he was 50-50 down the middle, praising and criticizing the two that he mainly focused on, which is WWE and AEW. Mm-hmm. He was 50-50 on what is praise and what is criticism, and then he decided to flip the switch and completely shit on one and praise the other. His whole situation used to be fair, now he's completely corrupt. He's compromised with butt cheek spread. He's a disgrace. He's a disgrace. Fightful are the exact same.
That name makes my blood pressure go up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I avoid them for good reasons.
Let's do the show like they do it. You know what?
Bingo.
The opening session was not all that, but it's a good product. We need to wait. 2 thumbs up.
Here's a fun fact, Taboo. See that whole Terminator 3 over Terminator 2? Guess who's tweety quoted? A couple of years ago, guess who's tweety quoted on that?
Probably yours.
You're looking. It was me. Yeah, you're looking at him. Yeah. Because he said, what's your favourite list in order? Because someone asked him a random question. I said Terminator 2 will always be number 1. He said Terminator 3 was the best. And I was like, you know nothing. He is a paid... he's more than a paid stooge.
No, he's not only a paid stooge, but his ass is wide open for WWE every week. Mm-hmm. His cheeks are spread wide for WWE every week.
This is true. There's one of them who scares the daylights out of me. Is it Kate or something? Her takes are scary. On every promotion.
Oh, Miss Kate Fabe. Miss Kate Fabe.
Yeah, she's scary.
Yeah, she's an idiot. She's a bob and weave and not the good kind.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a weave and she bobs, and it's not the good kind. Anyway.
I don't like her takes on TNA, and I don't like her takes on AEW, and I don't like her takes on New Japan. They scare the daylights out of me.
Yeah. So after Cody Rhodes shit the ring, what did we have next after that?
Elimination Chamber qualification between Naomi and a champion who isn't even going to get to defend her title.
Oh yeah, that one. That was
an ass tap and a waste of time.
That was Chelsea. We know you're getting over, and we don't like it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna bury you right now. We're going to bury you with the title. How about that? You like that? No? Okay, well, fuck it. We're getting ready to do it. And the shitty part of it is, the absolute shitty part of it, she will figure out how to make lemonade with this.
Massively.
She will figure out how to make lemonade with this, and WWE will be right back to the drawing board. Everybody, if you want to know somebody that at WWE absolutely cannot bury, which is why I'm a fan of, Chelsea Green. They couldn't bury her with a motor grader, a fucking skyscraper, and a nuke. They couldn't bury her if they tried, and they've been trying.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, horrible match. At least the outcome.
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, it's just the outcome was the correct outcome, whether I want to agree with it or not, because Chelsea Green in the fucking elimination chamber and they turn her into a spot monkey like they did with the Money in the Bank match is no
Mhm.
win for her. So keep her out of the elimination chamber. I'm totally fine with her not winning. Hey, if Naomi wants to go in there and be the spot junkie for that, notice I said
She's
that completely differently. If
yes.
if she wants to be the spot junkie for that match, be my fucking guest.
Oh, she's
Um,
going to be. She's going to
yeah,
be. She's
that's
she's
the
going to
whole
do.
thing of it.
She's going to do either a diving drop kick or she's going to do a split-legged moonsault off a chamber pod, and she's going to be the first woman pinned.
Yeah, she's going to be the first one out the door, and she's going to be doing the spot junkie stuff. And I mean, everything, guys. This match here is going to be, and I'm saying this before they get any more entrants into this match. This match is going to be Liv Morgan's to lose. Because they
she's
are hell
outstanding.
bent. Yeah, they're hell bent and determined to put her and Rhea Ripley back together on the WrestleMania stage.
They have booked her like the outstanding favorite, which is frightening considering the person who should be the outstanding favorite is Bianca Belair.
Yeah,
She's
no,
actually got a
she's
story
black.
to lose.
She's black. She's black. She can't be the overwhelming favorite.
I mean,
And
she
I
was
said
built
that
like
very casually because that's what
oh, I know.
WWE looks at them.
Oh, I know. But she was booked like an overwhelming favorite when she was champion, proper champion, not the diamond earrings tag belts. But yeah, they are cooling off the US title. I'll tell you what's worse. They've already shut down the IC title, which is meant to be more important. That's
Good,
already
because they
dead.
put it on the wrong person to begin with.
Doesn't matter who they put it on, in my opinion. It was just they done this just to silence Goodwill fans.
Yeah, I mean they've got that, and the match itself was absolutely trash.
It was.
I'm sick of them taking good wrestlers and making them do stupid gimmicks. This thing for Piper Niven right now is an absolute idiotic gimmick.
I don't like that. I don't like that they've done that they're making her like a Secret Service thing. Like
The thing about it is,
it's
Piper. Go ahead.
It's a TNA ripoff.
Well, I mean, I get that it's a TNA ripoff, but that's not even the big piece of it. Piper Niven is a little bit larger for a woman, and she's not Samoan, so there's nothing they can do with her. If she were Samoan, it'd be her and Nia Jax every fucking week, and it'd be meat chance, and it'd be all that shit. It'd be all that.
No, it wouldn't be meat chance. It'd be cake chance.
Yeah. There you go.
Got to differentiate between the two.
Well, she could be Dewdrop again, you know. She could be Dewdrop, which is a lesbian reference. So,
but they absolutely stole this from TNA, because you look at it, who in TNA right now has suits at matches?
I swear I don't watch enough of it to even answer the question. I got a feeling it's Santino Marella.
Mustafa Ali.
Mustafa Ali, okay.
With his political gimmick.
Yeah.
Well, he has his like suit cabinet FBI type guys behind him, and they wreck him. Look, she will get released this year. She's going to get released this year, and then
I hope so. Yeah.
I'll tell you this: she'll get released, and then Bubba Dudley will start hitting on her again on Twitter.
No, she'll get released, and AEW will snatch her ass up and put her in a program with Willow Nightingale, and that'll restore what she needs to be. Piper Niven can fucking wrestle. Piper Niven is a fucking phenomenal talent.
Yeah, she was great. She was great in NXT UK.
I mean, no, not even NXT UK. Before all that, she does top rope work better than any. She does top rope work better than most. Not most luchadors, but she's definitely in that lucha category. She does top rope work for her size. Fucking phenomenal.
Hot take, but she does rope work better than Commander, and he's meant to be the God-given best at it when he's not.
Yeah. I mean, she is a damn good worker. I would love to see her and Willow Nightingale go at it, because
heavy hitting. It's too heavy hitting woman.
Take my money. Just shut up and take my money, and I'll smile.
I think his is coming. See, I don't mind Austin Fury, but I think after tonight at NXT Vengeance Day, when Grayson Waller turns on him, which is not going to happen, but it should happen. I think they're building up towards that, because Grayson Waller is what they want. I think Austin Fury's finished. I don't particularly rate Grayson Waller anyway, but I can just see it happen right on the wall. Um, after the ass shaking fest and the ass taps and the pinfall by Naomi, we do get Sami Zayn talking about his nerve damage. I don't care if the guy looks cleaned
I
up.
don't
Like
care.
I don't care. Skip. Um,
Yep. Yeah.
Machine Guns pin Los Garza. Yep, we know
Yep.
that.
And I called them. If you were paying attention to the match last night, I called them Future Endeavored. I kept calling them Future Endeavored. I refuse to call them Los Garza. They're done too.
Yeah,
Give
they're
them
going.
some time. Give them some time. We have the post WrestleMania release, and that's going to be when they drop about 40 on us.
Yeah, this will be a good one as well. I actually wouldn't mind this as well. Megan
I'd
Bayne
love
versus
it too.
Piper Niven would
Yeah.
be good as well. Keep her away from Mercedes Moné though, because I do not want to see her get lifted up and into that money maker thing, because that finisher needs to go. That thing sucks. It's the only thing I'll criticize of Mercedes Moné is her choice of finishers.
Mhm.
LA Knight interaction with Shinsuke Naka Skywalker. To be fair, good. I like Nakamura, even though I don't understand why he's dressed up like Anakin Skywalker anyway. But I've always liked Nakamura.
LA Knight brought something to this tonight or last night. I was
He
gonna.
brought a new edge and he cooked the Miz when the Miz eventually showed up, which was quite funny.
Yeah, I think the Miz missed the memo. See, the thing that happened to LA Knight last week was the makeup for Drew being in his fifis. When LA Knight got that it's okay to cry and all that shit right there, that was Drew collecting on his fifis. He was in his fifis over Royal Rumble, and I think Miz got that twisted. Miz got that twisted to think that, okay, I can tee off on LA Knight now and nobody's going to bother me.
I was very surprised by how the match ended though. Like, before the match, they had the interaction in the promo segment, and he went for the blunt force trauma.
Yeah.
But he won the match with a diving elbow.
Mhm.
Could this be a change for LA Knight where he's going to
It
start?
is.
And
Yeah.
if it is, respectfully, I praise this because I actually think LA Knight using a diving elbow as a finish
Yes.
is fucking genius.
Yeah. He's
Because
going to
he delivers it really well.
Yeah. He's going to co-op a little Randy Savage in there to finish off with for a change.
And I think this is good because, one, I like the fact that CM Punk constantly does a homage to Savage anyway with the elbow. But I like that LA Knight is doing the same, but LA Knight's actually putting a bit more viciousness in it.
Mhm.
And I like that. So I'm all for it. Use the BFT as either a second finish or use it as a setup for the elbow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because
BFT as the signature maneuver sets up for the diving elbow. It could be like the scoop slam into the scoop slam classic into the elbow, except BFT into the diving elbow. That's genius.
Yeah, and see, I'm not. I mean, I'm still not comfortably. I'm not in LA Knight's corner comfortably yet. I
like him. I want to see more from him. Yeah,
I
like him. I need to see more from him. I think this is a good thing. I think this dive and elbow could be the start of the less comparative nature to Austin and Rock.
Yes.
He gets them. Like, you can tell that LA Knight absolutely understands Rock and Stone Cold. But he shouldn't be getting compared to them. It's not that he doesn't deserve to be. But he should just be his own thing. He should use traits of those two. But I wouldn't compare. That's a bold take. It's great, but is it? I don't know.
The Froggy Bow is good because Mark Briscoe's been doing it for 20 years. He's perfected it. There's a big difference. LA Knight pulled this out of his ass.
I think the best diving elbow is still Jay Lethal.
Yeah, I'll give you talents.
that. I think men's side is Jay Lethal. I think nobody's done a great hold on, let me think. Hold on. Jay Lethal's one's great. You know what? Actually, Alright, let me ask Fernando this question. Are we basing a diving elbow as a finish or just diving elbow in general? Because I also think Nick Nemeth does a brilliant diving elbow. His diving elbow is really good.
I think
Sane does a great one.
I think at some point in time you're going to have to go back to protecting it. You're going to have to go back to protecting the diving elbow because a lot of people use it. Lots.
Have you noticed that they've been doing it with Alexa Bliss and other people recently use DDTs? It's been used more as a statement finisher and it's actually getting a free count, not a kick out.
Mm-hmm.
Like Cora Jade, to be fair, her finisher, the Jade or whatever it is that she calls it, is also a DDT. I missed when the DDT was just a finisher. Like Ravens is my favorite. All right, elbow in general, then I'm saying Nick Nemeth or Jay Lethal, and Mark Briscoe, Jay Lethal, Nick Nemeth is the top three. But I think Nick Nemeth right now is the best at a diving elbow.
Mm-hmm.
He's the best since Shawn Michaels.
So
And Michaels is the best since Savage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can get with that.
But Kairi Sane's the best for a woman.
So we got the LA Knight and Stalker Nakamura.
Shinsuke Naka Skywalker is what I'm calling. Because he keeps dressing up like Anakin Skywalker,
Okay.
so I'm going to keep calling him Shinsuke.
We can call him Stalker. We can call him Stalker Naka Skywalker too. You know, that'd be fine.
I will concede to that because he is acting like a stalker. I will agree with that.
Well, he said he's a stalker. He got in the ring and said, "I'm stalking you." So, I mean, it
I
is
like
now
that.
safe to call him a stalker. Yeah.
I like the way he's doing it though. He's using it from like he's actually seeing who he thinks is his next credible opponent. I like that. And the next one I completely skipped.
Which was
the next match. Carmelo Hayes versus R-Truth. I skipped the whole thing.
I actually wanted to cook on this for a minute. Can I?
You can because I skipped the whole fucking thing. I don't know what happened. They said, but Carmelo won. That's it.
Carmelo won against R-Truth, the traveling minstrel himself. So
let's do this. Go on then.
So, with that being said,
the traveling minstrel. Okay, I've got a banner just for you. I've got a banner just for you. I'll put up whilst you're talking.
The traveling minstrel himself. All right, Triple H. Bruh. The fuck were you thinking with this match? You're like, hey, Carmelo, I got a great idea. I'm going to put you in a match with R-Truth. That way, if you lose, you lost to R-Truth. But if you win, you only beat R-Truth.
Wait till you see this.
You can't do anything to make Truth. And you know what? This is not because I got blocked by him. I got blocked by him for cutting a fucking promo for AOP. And he didn't like the promo I cut. That's back when they had the tag titles. I got blocked by him for that. Yeah, and Traveling Minstrel by Pimp, that's exactly what happened. Former NXT champion Midget Bow Wow defeats two-time NWA, actually when the NWA kind of sort of fucking meant something.
Mm-hmm.
And former U.S. champion, former 2 or 3-time World Tag Team champion,
and former champion.
Former 24/7 champion, former champion of the shuck and jive that is what he does.
One of the best, what we actually used properly, one of the best black wrestlers to ever step foot in the fucking ring.
Right, and you've reduced him to a traveling minstrel who can't win matches, who looks confused and acts like he has Alzheimer's and doesn't do a really good job of it at that. He looks like he's intentionally acting stupid. And that's the problem.
It's what turned me off from him in general because I used to really like his in-ring work. His promos and his in-ring work actually used to be really good. And
I used to cut promos. I'm sorry. I used to cut promos for AOP and Karrion Kross, and I cut promos so well they shared them. And I cut a promo that AOP probably should have gone over Awesome Truth, and I called them, here's the unfortunate truth. When I kicked off the promo, I said, here's the unfortunate truth. And I got blocked for that. Apparently, R-Truth found that offensive. I found it funny as hell. It grabbed.
That's not offensive at all. If anything, that's putting over a heel. That's a heel doing it. Here's the unfortunate truth because they're about to have an interaction with someone who they don't want to be near.
Exactly. It played. It tracked.
Oh, God
I cut a
almighty.
promo that tracked, and he got
Even
mad.
You know what's funny? The Miz would have appreciated that because that's the shit that he does.
Yeah. And I'm really mad at Mike Mizanin for not putting him straight on that, because I channeled the Miz to make fun of Awesome Truth on the balance of AOP.
Yeah.
And the only person that got mad about the whole fucking thing was R-Truth, you pussy.
The same person who talks to folk that are meant to be standing beside him but aren't exist.
Exactly. Little Jimmy's done, man. We tired of Little Jimmy. But anyway,
Absolutely.
yeah. We can
Absolutely.
we can skip this match except to say that if anybody is a Mellow fan, then
God.
you need to be a real Mellow fan and tell that sumbitch not to sign on the dotted line again. He is their dancing midget. There is no other way you can put it. Yeah, right now, Mellow is their dancing midget.
He's finished.
Yes. Moving along, though. Moving along.
Yeah, moving along. We're halfway through this one, which is good. Following this, Kevin Owens in the Hitman hoodie.
Nobody cared.
See, no, but Brett's the GOAT. Brett's the GOAT. Wearing a Hitman hoodie is great. He does reiterate saying that he'll see Sami Zayn at the Chamber, which we all expected.
Yeah.
Up next was the disqualification finish women's championship match.
Made absolutely no fucking sense to have it. They could have handled this in a promo. And now I will say this: Nia Jax is improving.
Yeah, can I also interject one point on this? What has Nia Jax done to deserve this title match? Because she chose to go to Raw, got stepped on, and then lost. What gives her the right to be given an instant other world title match? She doesn't. So even though I think she's had a great improvement, she doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, but you have to understand, we're not doing rematches except when we do rematches.
Oh, I agree.
You don't get an automatic rematch unless we need to fill time on a show. And that's exactly how this match felt. I want WWE to keep doing this shit. I really, really, seriously want them to keep doing this shit, because one of these days, somebody else is going to be sitting at home going, I thought we didn't get automatic rematches. And didn't she just exactly what you just said, Reece? Somebody, the light is going to come on with them, and they're going to be like, wait a minute. But Motor City Machine Guns didn't get automatic rematch. But this guy didn't get automatic rematch. But Nia just got her ass kicked. Well, in fairness, she didn't get her ass kicked by Rhea Ripley, because Rhea Ripley is washed at this point. Now it's like, why is she back? Why she get an automatic title shot? Why is this happening? Why? I want them to keep doing mentally idiotic shit. It's like putting Mello with R-Truth. Who the fuck was sitting back there in the back going, hey, boss, I got it. I got your match. I got your filler. We're going to put Mello and Truth together. And a whole bunch of other people were like, damn, that sounds like a fucking good idea. Not one person in the entire building said, what the fuck happens if Mello wins or loses? Not one fucking person sat down and said, you know what? If Mello loses, he lost to the guy who can't even beat his own fucking shadow and some imaginary guy named Jimmy. So if he beats the guy, okay, Mello just beat a guy who can't beat his own shadow and talks to an imaginary guy named Jimmy. Sounds like a great fucking match. Let's throw that sumbitch right there on television.
I can raise you. Mello beat the guy who thinks he's John Cena light because he says his favorite wrestler is John Cena growing up as a child.
Right, and he gets in there and does this shit. This is like, who in the back sits down and thinks about this shit? And then the same guy probably went like, hey, you know, boss, I know we've been saying, Oos, that we don't have rematches, Oos, but we got to fill a title match. We got to fill a spot, Oos. And Nia Jax, Oos, she's in the building, Oos. And Tiffany, Oos, Tiffany's in. It'll be a great buildup. Who the fuck was sitting back with a dartboard going, this is a great fucking idea? Got it. I mean, really, who was at this point sitting back in the back going, you know what, we need to follow up this Mello. We need to follow this Mello and Truth match up with the rematch that nobody gets.
And then we get, as you said earlier on, after we get this interference again. Here's the dumbest part of it. It's a DQ finish. It's a DQ finish, but why is Nia Jax celebrating with Candice LeRae?
Because they succeeded at absolutely nothing, and they're good at it.
But that's the bit that makes no sense.
It's a race to the bottom, Reece. You're missing it.
It's so bad. Oh no, it's so bad. But it's absolutely funny that imagine someone costs you your title match and you decide instead of attacking the champion, you don't attack the person that screwed you. Weird. We then get the bottom basement Charlotte Flair promo, which is awful.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Trish Stratus gets involved. That's the only redeeming quality of this whole thing. Trish's time, however, is not something I want.
I'm good without that as well. It's probably the same people that thought Mellow and Truth was a great idea, and the ones who don't get a rematch was a great idea. Those are probably the people who put this shit together. It's horrible. It's garbage. Yeah. It's dog shit. Dog shit smells better than what I'm looking at right now.
Exactly.
It's just, and then after that,
after this, we got the implication video that Liv and Raquel attacked Jade.
Oh yeah,
which is we all know it wasn't them. They were just wrong place, wrong time.
Watch out what parking lot you walk through, Reece. You too could get convicted of a crime.
Please do so, because I'm clean whistle. We then got the Trishy time and Tiffy time collaboration for Chamber. This should have been Trish Stratus versus Chelsea Green, in my opinion. Because this would have helped. This would have helped her get over.
No, we can't help Chelsea do anything. Were you not at the creative meeting where they were booking R-Truth and fucking Mellow together?
No, I know. I'm just saying. This is what I'm saying. This like a logical person would think.
Stop it.
I'm not saying logical.
Stop it right now. Stop being logical.
I'm not being logical. I'm not being logical to WWE. I'm logical to us. This is the weekly Steelchair creative.
Stop being logical. Stop being logical. Stop. This thing is a whole lot easier when you realize
I know.
When you get a frontal lobotomy, this show is a whole lot easier to watch. Yeah. I promise you.
I agree. That's why I'm not arguing. What I'm saying is if this was my booking, my show, that I'm creative, I would be having Chelsea Green versus Trish Stratus for the women's title, or the US women's title, and Trish Stratus puts her over. That's all I would have done. Because that
would have made sense.
We don't do that around here. And I would have done this, and I would use another legend for Lyra. I would have given her Victoria. Done deal.
That would have been a good look right there. I could get with that.
Or the newest inductee into the Hall of Fame, Michelle McCool, wouldn't have been a bad show either.
You are about to get blocked by WWE. You are convicted of thinking without a license, and
I know I need to be put on
and we all know that if this were Squid Games, no, if this were Squid Games right now, and the actual childish game, because booking is a fucking childish game, by the way. It's a child's game. It is so simple. Booking is so fucking simple. And I'll tell you what, if any of you dumb motherfuckers happen to stumble across this stream and I'm sitting there saying booking is simple, it is. It is fucking simple. With the people you've got in the business right now, fucking Helen Keller could book better than this.
I agree.
I mean, seriously, she can't see, hear, write, or talk. And she could book better than this. But the thing about it is, if this were Squid Games right now, and the game was booking, and Hunter was standing there on the start line, his blood would be flowing in 20 seconds. Because this motherfucker can't book. If somebody said book or else, it would be or else. That is it. It would be the or else. Yeah, put Reece in jail for Hunger Games for thinking. Damn it, stop that shit. You said give a review. You didn't say think. God, this is getting complicated.
I still got a thing to improve the pish that's on every week. But yeah, sign me up for prison, because I can improve. I could improve Raw, SmackDown, and like that.
Anybody
then,
could. All you have to do is take this stuff. If you backed up and you had Cody Rhodes walk out to the ring, let me book this whole show where it makes some fucking sense. Cody Rhodes walks out to the ring, says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I don't as of yet have a challenger. I'm looking forward to the winner
of the
Elimination Chamber. And here's the people I'm fighting. Let me put all of these guys over because you don't know who's winning yet, but I do because I was at the booking thing here. Okay, so, and when I get to Cena, I'm going to put his ass over like a motherfucker. See, that way you know Cena's winning. Then we move on here. Mello goes, what the fuck do you mean putting me with R-Truth? Put me with, who's that guy with Los Future Endeavored? Not the tag
Los
team.
Garza. Los Garza. Angel Garza and...
Angel Garza.
Berto. Angel and Berto.
Okay, who's the other guy in that thing?
Berto.
No, not the tag team. The other dude that just lost his girl.
Oh, Santos Escobar.
Santos Escobar. If I'm Mello, I say, give me Santos Escobar. Give me 8 minutes. Give us 2 Spanish flies. We'll tear the building down. Yes, sir. We're done. You're good. Then we go to the women's match here, the contenders match. And I say, Chelsea Green, you're great, sweetheart, but I got better plans for you in the Elimination Chamber that don't involve being in the Elimination Chamber. Okay?
Absolutely. That's a good saying as well.
Yeah, okay, so I take Naomi and I put her with that poison pixie midget motherfucker. Naomi beats the living shit out of her, goes on. We're good. There we go. Then we get to LA Knight and Shinsuke Skywalker. Okay.
I'm loving this name now. We've got Mac, we've got Blaster Casterberg, we've got the Scottish Cyclopath, we've got the local competitor, and we've got Shinsuke Naka Skywalker.
And I'm sorry, but his gimmick is ass right now, so I'm going to call him Shitstain Naka Skywalker.
I see what they're trying to do with it. You know, I see what they're trying to do. The problem is, it's not going to be accepted because of where it's being done. If this was in Japan, company respective,
he would probably get over in Japan easily with this.
I don't think it works because they're doing it as that steady. It's not stereotypical, actually. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but they are using him like his whole entrance now has evolved into him being like a Shaolin Japanese warrior, but it doesn't come across as the way it should be because it could be so much better because it's great choice of it. That was 100% his decision.
It could be, but at the same time, Triple H knows his fan base don't know what the fuck New Japan Wrestling is, and they think Noah is this great company that WWE is getting ready to buy. So Triple H doesn't have to bury it. Triple H doesn't have to bury it. All he has to do is say, you, Io Sky, Kairi Sane, y'all just keep doing what you do on New Japan, and I'm not going to explain a fucking thing to my fans, so they're going to look at you like you're the blue monster behind a green wall, and I don't have to bury you. I just have to let you go out and do Japan shit that my fans don't even know exists.
I think Noah is certainly great. They've shown it. The problem is there's a few things, but I think both companies are still great. But I do agree with you though. Regardless,
but they don't have to bury Nakamura. They don't have to bury Nakamura. They just have to let him go out there with this gimmick. It makes sense to me. It makes sense to you.
I love Japanese culture. It understands
me
perfectly.
Understand it, but the average person sitting in that ring's like, "Well, did you look at that? He looks like the final thing of Mortal Kombat."
It's Raiden.
Yeah, he looks just like the final stage of Mortal Kombat. This might cook, I don't know, but when's he gonna speak English? That's a majority of the fan base.
It's just a shame because literally 2025, for the better part of 8-9 years, Nakamura was one of the mainstays in New Japan.
Right.
From 2007 to 2000, when he left in 2016, sorry.
Yep.
2007 until 2016, Nakamura was one of the main men re-establishing that company with Tanahashi and Shibata. His whole idea was creating chaos. I love Bullet Club as a faction, but Chaos will always be my favorite New Japan faction.
Mhm.
Him to Okada, perfect. This guy literally forced a poll. This is how special Nakamura is. He forced a poll on what should main event, the IWGP World title or the Intercontinental title. That's how special this guy is. He did not need repackaged. He didn't need re-gimmicked. He had
Yeah.
the gimmick and they fucking ruined him. I hate that shit.
No, see, that's what I'm saying. They don't have to ruin him. They just have to let him go out and do him in front of their fans. And it's like, that's why Io Sky's not getting over. That's why Kairi Sane's not getting over. Asuka had a little ass wiggle in there, so she had a little sensuality going on. And that's the only reason she got over, is because nobody in that fan base, with the exception of a very skinny few, understand anything but WWE. That's all they understand. You don't have to bury them. You just have to let them go out there and be themselves. They'll bury themselves.
But then you ask, this is the worst part. I do kind of agree with this as well with Fernando, but I think it's going to be Rhea. I think it's going to be Rhea, Sky, and Bianca at WrestleMania.
No, it's going to be Rhea and Liv. Mark that down. Bookmark what I just said. They're going to rehash that.
It wouldn't surprise me if it is, but it would be a mistake. If they make it a triple threat, it might actually have some redeeming quality.
Anyway,
I don't like it when fans then go, when you tell them what they did elsewhere and then they go, but I don't watch. But then when they leave that company, they then say, oh, I'm going to miss this person. I'm like, I've never seen a New Japan fan say, we're going to miss a talent, but we're not going to watch. They still go and watch that talent because they actually like the talent.
Do. Yeah, it actually.
Like, I do all the talents I like, even if I never liked them at some point. Like I never liked Ricochet for a while because he's done promos, but I liked his work. I was at his AEW debut live. I was at fucking All In, so I got to see that live. So I'm like, I have no problem with people being a company favorite over another. Newsflash, that's pro wrestling. There was NWA fans that are not WWE fans, and back in the 80s and all that shit, that's how it should be. But if you're meant to be a fan of said talent, and then they leave, you absolutely do not say, oh, I don't know who that person is anymore. Oh, I miss this talent. Like, so why are you not watching them then? You're clearly not a fan then.
That's correct.
And this is true as well. Yeah, I hate booking people like that is they've
WWE can only book white talent, and that's it. They can't book black talent
exceptionally well. Yeah, unless you're a very unless you're a very clever ethnic minority talent that knows what to do.
I take that back. They can book white people and Samoans really well. They book white people and Samoans pretty well. They cannot book black talent. They cannot book Latino talent. They cannot book Asian talent. If people started popping out on the moon, they couldn't book lunar talent. As long they could if it was white, but if it comes out anything other than white, they can't do it.
If you look at consistently good black talent, you'd have to say it's Lashley, and then before that it was Farouk, which is a long distance away between each other.
Yeah. That's
and
The Rock. The Rock was black, so.
But he always
leaned to being he leaned being black when he needed to be black. He leaned being Samoan when he needed to be Samoan.
He should always
still in the Nation of Domination,
Yeah, he should always say both was important to him. I get why he favors one over the other. I think that's understandable, but if you've got representation to both, I would say both are important to you as who you are. But that's just what
he's just smart enough to know they don't book black talent right. So he's just, I'm Samoan. You can't do that to me. I'm Samoan.
That's why he's Levesque's boss. But then speaking of black talent or Samoan talent, we do get this triple threat main event. Oh wait, sorry, I forgot. Jimmy Uso super kicks Drew McIntyre, but then we get to this triple threat.
Yeah, and the wrong person won.
Yeah, and a waste of the Fatu Sikoa segment backstage was crap as well. But I agree, Jacob Fatu should have won this because there's only one heel in this match, and that's Logan Paul.
I would have sprung. See, this is where again, like I'm booking because I think, therefore I am. I would have sprung Jacob Fatu out of this thing with that. I would have had him going ballistic. And see now, oh,
Pain.
this
Logic.
shit is trash. This shit is
Stop
trash.
thinking. Stop
This shit
thinking.
is trash. This shit is trash. This shit is trash. This shit is trash. Did I say this shit is trash yet?
No. Can I hear it again?
This shit is trash. 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 You
It is.
booked fucking Jacob Fatu having a fucking attitude with fucking Solo Sikoa for losing a goddamn match, and then turns right around and loses a goddamn match. This shit is trash. This shit is trash. This shit is trash.
Yes, it is. And you know what's worse? He's going to lose
The
next
trash
week.
man is 5 minutes late. That's what's worse right now.
He'll lose again next week, and he'll lose after that. You know what's worse? Jacob Fatu should have went over their heads and just say, "I want the title match at Chamber."
Hell yeah. They done gave him the mic now. It's over with. I mean, that's just it. WWE gave him a mic. It is over with. As to who is the best talent, male talent right now in WWE, I don't care who your favorites are. The best overall male talent, ring work, mic work, the whole package is Jacob Fatu. They've given him the mic. When he was quiet, it was okay. So, well, he's still losing matches. He's still learning. He's still learning.
I would have said AJ preferably, because I'm a big AJ Styles fan, but I'm a big Jacob Fatu fan. So
Yeah,
I concede to AJ now being overruled by Jacob.
I'm not taking anything away from AJ Styles. They're not using him on television. They're not using him on television, and when they do use him, it's the most improper use. If there was a felony for this, WWE would get convicted of it every fucking week when they put AJ Styles in a ring, because they can't book him either.
He is one of the undisputed GOATs.
Yeah, I mean, he is a GOAT. AJ Styles is a GOAT, but they can't book him worth of shit either. And strangely enough, he's white, and I don't understand that. That's breaking with the norm.
I don't know how you can not book him as a world champion or a 1 year run as Intercontinental Champion. I don't know, because there is nobody.
But in all
on his
seriousness,
and this is a great show as well.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Here's my whole issue with this. You literally book a guy to be mad about losing and then turn around and have him lose.
And
lose to the fucking bisexual Undertaker and the monster from Mars.
Yeah, I mean, Damian Priest is decent. I'm not going to deny that. He's decent. But what is he bringing to the Chamber? We've already got fucking 3 baby faces anyway. We don't need 4. You've now got the dynamic. Maybe I'm too old school. But I believe if you're having a match like the Elimination Chamber, you need 3 heels, 3 baby faces. Or you split it with 2, like say 1 or 2 are tweeners and you've got 2 baby faces, 2 heels. Is CM Punk going to be a tweener in this? Because I don't know, but there's fucking 4 baby faces. There's 4 baby faces and 1 heel. We're still waiting on the final match, I believe. There's still 1 man left again, I think. This is. Yeah, I'm too old.
I would not be surprised. I would honestly not be surprised, and I'm going to have to crash out here because I've got to go get my show ready. I've got like 2 minutes before my drop down date. I would not be shocked.
Yeah.
If we saw, and this is about to blow everybody's mind, I would not be surprised if we saw Finn Balor somehow get into this thing.
He needs to.
I would not be surprised just to lose. Because we know who's winning the Elimination Chamber. John Cena is winning the Elimination Chamber.
And I'll go one further. He is winning from the start.
He's going to be the first guy. He's going to be the first guy out in the ring, and he's going to go the distance.
I think he'll start the match with. I think he'll start the match with either whoever wins the Balor Rollins match.
No, he'll start with the bisexual Undertaker. They're going to go ahead and get him the hell out of the way quick because he doesn't factor into the rest of the show. He's not part of it.
I think he'll be the Kane type entrance from the chamber pod. He'll come in and just chokeslam everybody. I think it'll be either Rollins or Balor, depending on who wins, and CM Punk. One of those two will start with Cena.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be one of them, one of that match, or Punk versus Cena at the start, and then he'll just run through all of them.
It wouldn't surprise me either, but yeah, the end of the show was stupid.
It was a waste of time. It was a waste of 3 hours.
Yeah, we wasted 3 hours. 3 hours of my life I'll never get back, and that's the end of that. I'm going to let you do TNA while I go actually cook some food because I'm going to starve to death because otherwise I've got like between now and the next.
I've just said it short and sweet. TNA started with a world title match that, frankly, could have been better. Nick Nemeth got suspended when makes no sense for a month over one super kick. Stupid. Leon Slater's quality, no surprise there. Masha Slamovich defends her title. I skipped Ash by Elegance and Heather by Elegance. Skipped them because I've got a soul. And there's so much. Yeah, we've seen them, unfortunately, Fletch. We've seen the spoilers. I've seen them by unlucky.
I've seen them all. I've seen them all. I'm still going to do the show pretending like I haven't. I'm going to go ahead and degauss my brain after this. And I'm going to come into this with an attitude that I haven't seen anything and I don't know anything. I'm going to be surprised.
Me too. All I want to say regarding TNA, Josh Alexander, you're amongst the TNA GOATs. I wish you well wherever you go. And if you do return one day, great, because I need that. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We are 3 hours 16 minutes just gone, so Steve Austin is signing off too. But in the meantime, thanks for.
And that's the bottom line because I said so. Anyway,
absolutely, and yes, he is. I will be reviewing this show tomorrow, Grand Slam.
I may or may not be here for this. Depends on how tired I am in the morning. But
yeah,
I got 6.5 hours of work ahead of me, so I'm going to get on it.
Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, ladies, gentlemen, viewers across the board, thank you. Check out Graps TV. Check out The Soul.
Check out the Mid Podcast.
Oh, don't worry, I'm getting to them. Mid Podcast, Kobe on TV, all them. Check them out. You know the score. And if you don't, that's fine. But in the meantime, I'm going because we've been cooking for 3 hours and 16 minutes. I'm exhausted. So, fucking bye. See you tomorrow.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
It's my life in the box in front of me.